Chapter 211. Li Che, standing by, felt an intense pang of envy. After paying a dutiful visit to Nurse Momo, Li Qingshan approached Li Che and pulled over a Taishi chair to sit down, the two sitting side by side. "Senior, I have a little doubt," Li Che said to Li Qingshan seriously. "Speak," Li Qingshan said with a smile. "When you tested my divine talent, you said I was also a supreme spiritual child. Why don't I need to go up on the stage?" Li Che asked, pursing his lips. Li Qingshan looked at Li Che with disdain. "You should have some shame. With your martial and divine cultivation, do you really think it's appropriate to go up there? Do you want to destroy these kids? Li Che, you're 22 years old. Do you really have the nerve to compete with these youngsters?" Li Qingshan shook his head. "After XIXI joins the divine sect, I will take you to Wood Carving Ridge, which makes you a member of the divine sect too. Wood Carving Ridge is well suited for you, with plenty of spiritual wood for you to work with," Li Qingshan continued. Li Che responded with a smile, "No, I didn't mean that. Isn't there an opportunity for the spirit children to enter the third prince's mysterious temple within 100 feet range and undergo the temple god resonance trial? I think I could also try resonating." Li Qingshan suddenly realized Li Che's intention was to observe the four royal mysterious temples at a close distance. Observing the temple gods in the mysterious temple is a thought every wood-carving master harbors. It's a common sentiment, understandable. But Li Qingshan was somewhat uncertain. "I'll have to ask the sect master about this later. Strictly speaking, you can't participate in the temple god resonance." "Why not? Although your divinity is as youthful as that of a spirit child, you are simply too mature." Li Qingshan chose his words carefully. Li Che was speechless. Why not just say he was too old? Li Qingshan glanced at him, hesitated, and then said, "Can you imagine yourself, with Neza braids and wearing a red belly band, standing in front of the mysterious temple, striking poses?" Li Che opened his mouth. Was temple god resonance like this? After all, it's the eight-armed prison lotus wrathful third prince's sinister temple. Naturally, some semblance is needed to more easily induce the resonance with the temple god. Like Liu Qi, he still wears Neza braids to this day, just to maintain resonance with the temple god and to more readily absorb the temple god divinity. If you can accept it, it wouldn't hurt to give it a try. Li Qingshan's eyes lit up, and he couldn't help but grin. Damn, although the thought burns the eyes, he was very curious as to what it was all about. Li Che couldn't even bear to imagine it and waved his hand dismissively. "Never mind, let's talk about it later." Li Qingshan nodded and then took on a more solemn expression. A voice resonated in Li Che's ear. It was the proficient use of the divine sonic transmission. "Bull Demon, let's talk about a collaboration," Li Qingshan transmitted. Li Che's eyebrows raised. His pure heart Dao fruit trembled slightly, quickly decrypting Li Qingshan's method, which was a special divine vibration technique. "Please speak, senior," Li Che replied via the divine sonic transmission. Li Qingshan was taken aback, surprised that Li Che had mastered the divine sonic transmission so quickly. Today, many powerful figures have gathered in Golden Light Prefecture City: the 5 great clans, the 5 major sects, the Divine Guard Army, the Temple Control Bureau, the Kintian Observatory, and even the Divine Sect branches. Almost all the powerhouses are present. This opportunity is very rare. Aren't you able to detect the corpse curse mark? This is an excellent chance to do some detecting, to see just how many demons and ghosts are hiding." Li Qingshan conveyed seriously. Li Che's eyes sharpened. So, Li Qingshan had been waiting for such an opportunity, where hidden powerhouses from the 5 great clans and the 5 major sects would show up during the divine sect's induction trial. Such an investigation would be the most comprehensive. Li Che thought for a moment and did not refuse. But he made one thing clear ahead of time. If the other party is marked with a corpse curse beyond the 8 extremes corpse curse seal, I wouldn't be able to detect it, he said. The 8 extremes corpse curse seal, no matter. Later, when the second round of purple chi detection starts, it will be a grand occasion. You can take the opportunity to detect the corpse curse marks. Record the names you find, and I'll have Shangguan Qinghong come over. If you encounter someone you don't recognize, just ask her directly. After carefully transmitting the message, Li Qingshan cut off the divine connection, stood up, and patted his green clothes. After exchanging a meaningful look with Nurse Momo once more, he casually strolled back and resumed his hunched-over figure on the divine sect's high platform. Li Che sat in the chair, lightly tapping the armrest of the Taishi chair with his fingers. On the high platform. Upon Li Qingshan's return, Zhu Hongdou approached him, her red robe billowing. She stared at him, causing his expression to change subtly. "Elder Zhu, why are you staring at me like that?" Li Qingshan asked somewhat guiltily. He hadn't told Zhu Hongdou about what he was planning to do. "Old Li, are you familiar with Xixi's father?" Zhu Hongdou asked indifferently. Feeling relieved, Li Qingshan replied, "Li Che, hey. That kid is quite nice, gentle and modest, and his talent's pretty good too. Enjoy new tales from Empire. Then talk to him, and let him know that joining my Red Cloud Peak is the best fit for Xixi, Zhu Hongdou said earnestly. "All my Red Cloud Peak disciples are female. Tell Li Che to rest assured, no boy would dare bother Xixi. In short, Red Cloud Peak had no rabble-rousers." Immediately, Li Qingshan understood what Zhu Hongdou was up to. She was making a move. And to think, the first part of the induction trial for the true successor had just ended. Elder Zhu Hongdou of the Divine Sect branch. Was she planning to poach ahead of time? Chapter 212. Li Qingshan almost laughed out loud. He could already feel Zhu Hongdou's eagerness and desire. This woman rarely showed such eagerness. Her admiration for Xixi and her desire to take her as a true disciple and inheritor were almost written on her face. "You go and have a word with Xixi's daddy," she said. Zhu Hongdou crossed her arms, pushing up her chest to create a startling curve, but she turned her head away and didn't even glance at Li Qingshan. She seemed to anticipate the mocking smile that must be on his face. Moreover, why did Li Qingshan dare to mock her? Although she was a divine symbol cultivator, her relationship with him had been quite good. In fact, when she was still an illusory phase cultivator, she had teamed up with Li Qingshan to complete missions. Now, as Li Qingshan was about to make the divine symbol breakthrough, existing in a realm of his own, naturally there was none of the restraint or oppression that came with hierarchical status. "Elder Zhu, are you asking for a favor here?" he said. "Is that the attitude you should have when asking for help?" he added. Li Qingshan became smug, his aged face blooming with a radiance like that of a brilliant chrysanthemum. Zhu Hongdou grew irritated. "Are you going to talk to them or not? Don't worry, leave it to me." But, a 3-year-old with bone-tempering achievement, who even managed to cultivate an artistic conception, such talent, such a girl, she's very much in demand, he said. Take Zhang Qingzheng, for instance. Despite the bitter look on his face, as if he's eaten a mouthful of bitter coptis, he actually smiles more brightly than a chrysanthemum. It's just that his face is too stinking, cancelling out his smile, Li Qingshan said, frowning slightly and sounding somewhat troubled. Zhu Hongdou's eyes sharpened, and she immediately tensed up. "Never mind Zhang Qingzheng," said Li Qingshan leisurely. "Look at Elder Su Juking and Wang Wuyu. Which one of them doesn't have incredibly keen eyes?" He knew that it was impossible for Xixi to join his tutelage. With such talent, she naturally should become an elder's true successor. At the moment, he had not yet made the divine symbol breakthrough and was not a divine sect elder. Yet, watching the elders gazing eagerly, ready to snatch her away, he found the whole situation extremely interesting. Seeing Zhu Hongdou's urgency, with her brows knitted tightly, staring at him, she said, "My Red Cloud Peak is definitely suitable for Xixi. You go and talk to her parents. After you make your divine symbol breakthrough, I'll help you with protective charms." Li Qingshan squinted. It's a deal then." He gave Zhu Hongdou an out. Even though many would not want him to succeed in his divine symbol breakthrough and may even attempt to disrupt and obstruct it, he was after all breaking through at Zhanglei Peak, located near the Golden Light Peak at the Divine Sect Mountain Gate. The opponents naturally wouldn't dare to act brazenly. Discover hidden stories at Empire. Moreover, during his breakthrough, Sect Master Nan Luo would personally offer protection, but Li Qingshan certainly wouldn't mind having one more divine symbol expert by his side. Upon hearing Li Qingshan's consent, Zhu Hongdou proudly lifted her head, her red dress blooming like bright flowers, and settled back into the Taishi chair. Sect Master Nan Luo glanced at the two of them. He was fully aware of their subtle gestures, and the corners of his mouth slightly lifted, as if he had thought of something, shaking his head almost imperceptibly. The drizzle slanted in a hazy mist, and the spring rain continued to fall. The biting cold that accompanied the late spring chill was particularly pronounced at the foot of the mountain. Many had put on extra layers, shivering from the cold. Xixi stayed close to Zhang Yi, who stroked her head, asking her what she wanted to eat that evening. Xixi, in turn, kept listing out dishes, tilting her head thoughtfully. Li Che stood by, looking warmly at his wife and daughter, everything peaceful and settled, a picture of happiness and contentment. On the high platform, the other contests on the fighting stages also concluded one by one, bringing the first segment of the competition to a formal end. Zhang Qingzheng, with his scholarly robe billowing, stood resolutely on the high platform. The final holders of the stages have been decided: Hai Chaosheng, Qin Fenghuo, Gong Yuan Liang, Jin Ao, and Li Nuangzai. Each has been rated supreme in the first segment. They can be considered as reserved true disciples. Rest for a quarter of an hour. We will then begin the second segment, observing the true disciples' divine purple chi with the complete-looking nature divine formation. Scores will be based on the height of the purple chi columns. Over 50 feet is considered supreme, said Zhang Qingzheng flatly, his voice echoing through the venue and reaching everyone's ears. The divine sect's observation skill is a unique divine secret technique of Qian Yuan divine sect, a tightly held secret, used for more than just examining divinity. It also possessed many other functions. The looking nature divine formation composed of it would give even more accurate assessments than when Li Qingshan had used the observation skill alone in the past. Having said this, Zhang Qingzheng lightly tapped his toes and floated back to the stage, seating himself securely in the Taishi chair, his face looking sour. With the end of the first segment, the atmosphere around became lively, with non-stop whispers and murmurs. Many began to chat boldly. This was only the assessment for supreme spiritual children. There would also be assessments for those below supreme, which would then decide the ranks of inner and outer sect disciples. However, compared to the assessment of true disciples, these were less complicated. For any sect, the identity of a true disciple was crucially important, as true disciples would receive a flood of resources from the sect. They were the future backbone of the sect. Naturally, the assessment had to be much more rigorous. Divine sect's assessment was considered very fair, relying on strength as well as divine talent, allowing even spirit children not from the mansion city's 5 great clans or the 5 great sects an opportunity to distinguish themselves. Below, Li Che took Xixi from Zhang Ye's arms. The little girl was still thinking about other dishes she hadn't named, furrowing her brow in an expression of great distress. Li Che couldn't help but laugh at his greedy little one as he lifted his hand to use his pure heart divinity, to comb through Xixi's body to realign her energies. Chapter 213. The first stage is a martial arts competition, the second stage is surveying, and the third stage is a temple god resonance. Li Che turned his head to look at Liu Qi beside him. Little Qi, could you ask secretly, is the third part of the divine sect true inheritance assessment the temple god resonance? Hearing this, Liu Qi smiled, shook his head and said, not exactly. Temple god resonance requires a specific point in time, using the divine weapon prison lotus wind fire golden light wheel to temporarily break through strange K, paving a direct path to 100 paces before the front of the mysterious temple. The precise timing depends on the situation at the mysterious temple. Upon hearing this, Li Che was suddenly taken aback. So the temple god resonance is not today. Liu Qi tilted his head, probably not. When I entered the mountain gate years ago, there was also the item of temple god resonance, which seemed to have been postponed for about 6 months. 6 months. Li Che took a deep breath, postponed for so long. Before Liu Qi could reply, Shang Guanqinghong, who had walked over from afar, had already added a sentence. Actually, it's not long. Many divine sects will conduct the temple god resonance. Some, for the temple god resonance, may be arranged to wait for several years. Shang Guanqinghong squeezed Liu Qi out of the way, plunked herself down on the chair, took out a handful of candied fruits, and stuffed them into Xixi's hands. Ms. Qinghong. Xixi was overjoyed. Thank you, Xixi, for finding a place for your sister. Shang Guanqinghong's eyes crinkled into crescent moons, full of delight. Although Shang Guanqinglei was her own younger brother, she felt no affection for him, even appearing quite indifferent. Seeing Xixi beat up Shang Guanqinglei, she unexpectedly felt a different kind of happiness. However, Shang Guanqinghong looked at Li Che, her expression becoming solemn. I know my good-for-nothing father very well, he's extremely petty. He adores Shang Guanqinglei greatly, XIXI having hurt his precious son, he definitely won't let it go so easily. He might secretly look for an opportunity to regain his dignity. Sheng Guanqinghong warned Li Che. XIXI is bound to become a true successor, he wouldn't dare to touch her, but, you and Ms. Yaya need to be more cautious. Upon hearing this, Li Che narrowed his eyes slightly and nodded in agreement. Sheng Guanzhengheng. Is he narrow-minded? Does he, bull demon, have a broad mindset? Time passed quickly, half a quarter of an hour was not too long. After the intermission was over, the black gong was again struck remotely by Zhu Hongdou, the resonating sound waves spreading, shattering spring rain as well as everyone's whispering voices. The venue went quiet as Zhang Qingzheng floated back onto the wooden platform, standing with his hands behind his back, his face as bitter as a lotus, his dead fish eyes sweeping across the crowd as he faintly spoke, "All supreme spiritual children and upper-class spiritual children, come on stage." Under the administration of Mansion City, among the 13 cities, there were only 3 supreme spirit children, but there were more than 50 upper-class spiritual children, and even more middle-grade and lower spirit children. Only the supreme spirit children and upper-class spiritual children were qualified to come on stage. Daddy, Mommy, Grandpa Chen, Nurse Momo, Ms. Ching Hong, XIXI is going. With her mouth stuffed with a piece of candied fruit given by Shang Guanqing Hong, her hands akimbo, and her chubby chin held high, XIXI said cheerfully. She then strutted off towards the direction of the platform on her own. The other spirit children didn't dare to get too close to her. After all, the ferocious scene of XIXI almost blasting Shang Guanqing Glei to death with a mechanism was witnessed by everyone. It was simply terrifying. Now seeing XIXI, this 3-year-old girl, was like seeing the devil himself. XIXI didn't care and climbed onto the platform, standing together with the supreme spirit children. XIXI, come on, stand over here. Gong Yuan Liang beckoned to XIXI. XIXI looked at Gong Yuan Liang curiously. My auntie is the minor supervisor of the Kintian Observatory, and your father is also with the Kintian Observatory, we're on the same side. Stay updated with Empire. Gong Yuan Liang said with a bright sunny smile. XIXI understood and quickly trotted over to his side. Me too, my grandpa is Gong Yang Liancheng, also a minor supervisor of the Kintian Observatory. We're also together. 5-year-old Gong Yangshu, who was a bit older than XIXI, also joined them. With her eyes sparkling, XIXI nodded, thought for a moment, then took out a handful of sunflower seeds from her pocket and gave Gong Yangshu and Gong Yuan Liang 3 seeds each. Gong Yangshu and Gong Yuan Liang looked at the 3 sunflower seeds in their palms and fell silent. Not far away, Hai Chao Sheng of the Hai family stood with his arms crossed, utterly cold and stern. He too had connections with the Kintian Observatory, one of his uncles was a guest elder there. But would he go and ingratiate himself? He deemed it beneath him. Hai Chao Sheng, the genius coddled by the patriarch of the Hai family, feared he might melt away if touched. He was a standout presence among this batch of supreme spirit children. Shang Guanqing Glei, who had been bombed by XIXI, still bore wounds on his body. Standing alongside Qin Fenghuo, he was apprehensive and kept his distance from XIXI. Atop the small platform, a multitude of characters gathered. And below the 15 supreme spirit children were lined up the upper-class spiritual children from Mansion City and the 13 cities, a number close to 100. Silence. Zhang Qingzheng in his scholar's robe spoke coldly. With his bitter lotus-stern face, his intimidation power was even stronger than that of a thunder deity. All the children immediately quieted down, looking at him fearfully. The evaluation begins. No one is to use their divinity. If anyone activates their divinity, their spot will be forfeited. Zhang Qingzheng swept his gaze across sternly. All the spirit children nodded ceaselessly. On the platform, Li Qingshan abruptly sat up straight, his eyes squinting. Sect Master Nan Luo, with a gentle expression on his face, looked towards the other 3 elders, Zhu Hongdou, Su Jiuqing and Wang Wuyu, and nodded. The next moment, the 3 elders stood up, their fingertips on the mud pill between their brows, divinity bursting forth. Suddenly, the entire foothills of Divine Sect Mountain were enveloped by a unique aura. It was as if divine pillars of light rose, supporting a large expanse like the canopy of a giant mushroom umbrella. Chapter 214. The umbrella canopy was 100 feet tall, seeming half-transparent, invisible to the naked eye, yet tangible. The spring rain that fell from the sky was completely kept out. XIXI looked up in awe, gazing at the divine mushroom-shaped canopy, and exclaimed with a wow. This is the divine sex-looking nature divine formation, only a divine array master can set it up. It's very formidable, Gong Yuan Liang hurriedly explained to the astonished XIXI. I know, my grandpa is a super powerful divine array master. Gong Yangshiu immediately replied. Gong Yuan Liang gave him a sidelong glance, my aunt is even more formidable. My grandpa is formidable. My aunt is the most formidable. My grandpa can soar to the clouds and fly across the sky. My aunt can eat. XIXI quickly tried to smooth things over, and with a touch of pity, took out a handful of sunflower seeds, giving 3 to each, Gong Yuan Liang and Gong Yangshiu. Stop arguing you two, have some sunflower seeds to cool down or the referee grandpa will scowl at you. Said XIXI. Thinking of Zhang Qingzheng's scowling face, Gong Yuan Liang and Gong Yangshiu stopped their dispute and quietly began to crack the sunflower seeds. Below the high platform, Li Che silently watched Gong Yuan Liang and Gong Yangshiu, who had gathered close to XIXI, and narrowed his eyes. It seemed as if he saw their black hair slowly turning yellow. The descendants of Gong Yang Junior Supervisor and Gong Shaojian. Li Che exhaled a breath. No longer dwelling on these matters, although Gong Yuan Liang and Gong Yangshiu showed signs of yellowing hair, it wasn't entirely yellow and was still acceptable. Li Che had serious matters to attend to, he raised his head to look at the divinely expanding mushroom umbrella canopy. A divinity formation. A formation based on the observation skill. A divinity formation, only a Grand Master of Divine Arrays could set up. Like the wood carving master, it was a special profession developed based on divinity. This was the first time Li Che had seen a Grand Master of Divine Arrays set up. His gaze swept over the area at the foot of the Divine Sex Golden Light Peak where 7 childlike wood carvings, alternating between crying and laughing, happy and angry, were placed. The wood carvings were where the divine formations chessboards were located. Li Che was indeed curious about divinity formations, but having never delved into them, naturally could not study further. He refocused his attention. Under the cover of the divinity formation, all cultivators retracted their divinity, daring not to release it as it would affect the assessment. No wonder Li Qingshan had said that this was the best time to detect the corpse curse mark. Even the diviner ancestors of the 5 great clans had to retract their divinity, daring not to release it. Even if he conducted the detection, he would not be discovered. They were protecting the safety of Li Che, the one performing the detection. Had Li Qingshan asked him whether his detection method required using divinity, and after Li Che said it was unnecessary, did they come up with this plan? At the thought, the Dao fruit of chess saint within his chest began to tremble slightly. Li Che closed his eyes. In an instant, the 8 extremes corpse curse seal that had been suppressed in the center of the heaven and earth chessboard suddenly began to tremble violently. The dark and gloomy death chi formed ripple-like storms, expanding with a thunderous force. Li Che's eyes snapped open, and within his gaze, it was as if networks of chessboards crisscrossed endlessly. The release of death chi from the 8 extremes corpse curse seal was like a river tide being parted, tumbling and surging towards all directions. It swept over the bodies of those sitting figures. Your next chapter awaits on Empire. As silent and gentle as the spring breeze, it failed to attract anyone's attention. But in Li Che's eyes, instantly, echoes of the corpse curse mark began to slowly emerge and dot upon the chessboard, like the blooming mandrake flowers of hell. First, there was 1, then 2, 3, 4. As if an invisible hand was placing pieces on the chessboard in mid-air, splashing death chi like flowers. Gradually, there were more. So many? Li Che's eyes slightly narrowed, and a look of severity deepened in his gaze. Atop the high platform, Nan Luo's white robe fluttered, and his black hair danced slightly in the spring breeze. Suddenly, he seemed to sense something and his brow furrowed. His gaze swept across the crowd, but he found no anomalies. He faintly felt a probing force. Yet, he could not pinpoint the source of the surveillance. Is someone spying on me? Who could be so audacious? Nan Luo's brow furrowed slightly, the godly pattern on his forehead twisted, bursting into a radiant glow. Who is it? His eyes suddenly became sharp, and his powerful divine sense burst out silently, without causing any fluctuations in the divine array, and not even the nearby elder god phenomenons could detect it, let alone Li Qingshan. His divine sense spread out like a fan, sweeping across the area to detect any surveillance activity. But he found nothing. Nothing. Nan Luo leaned back in the Taishi chair, his gaze suddenly fell on Li Qingshan's face, pensive. Zhang Qingzheng's scholar robe clung to his body as three of the elders ignited their divinity, activating the looking nature divine formation. He took a step forward in his cloth shoes, formed a seal formula, and his eyes instantly shrouded with a thick purple hue. The man seemed to be connected with the divine array, and in an instant, his eyes swept over the 100 or so supreme spiritual children and upper-class spiritual children on the high platform. Innate divinity, I observe with divine penetration. Humph! Rise! Zhang Qingzheng's hair flew about, his visage twitching slightly, and the next moment he extended a finger toward the crowd of spiritual children from afar. Boom! Atop the high platform, all the spiritual children held their breath, completely unlike when Li Qingshan gauged their divinity. Xixi felt something within her wanting to burst forth, irresistibly drawn by the canopy above, uncontrollable. Chapter 215. Thick purple smoke billowed from Xixi's heavenly spirit cover, wriggling like a small snake. It was not just her, by her side Gong Yuan Liang and Gong Yangshu, and in the distance, Hai Chao Sheng, Qin Feng Huo, Huang Si Xiang, Shang Guan Qinglei and others, all had purple smoke emerging from their foreheads. This was the manifestation of their divine child talent, their innate divinity. Beneath the wooden platform, in an instant, there was dead silence, with only the sound of everyone holding their breath in concentration remaining. Even the diviner ancestors from the noble families couldn't help but cast their gazes at this moment. Although detecting talent wasn't as thrilling as competing, the shock brought about by witnessing the talents of spiritual children was uniquely impactful. After all, even the diviner ancestors had once been spiritual children and had their talents tested. Therefore, they too were curious and had a comparative mindset. Parents' area. Zhangya was so tense that her whole body stiffened, grabbing Li Chei's arm, breathing heavily, her eyes fixed intently on Xixi on the platform. Old Chen's body also leaned forward involuntarily, his eyes widened, and nervous beads of sweat rolling down his forehead. His precious Xixi, what was her talent like? Having watched Xixi grow up, Old Chen had long considered her his own granddaughter and naturally hoped that Xixi's talent was good, which stirred his emotions and made him nervous. Husband! Zhangya unconsciously called out to the person she trusted most. Li Chei's eyes were deep and black at that moment, his gaze capturing the high platform, yet he was exploring all directions, his expression extremely solemn. But this solemnity was as if he was worried about his daughter's divine talent. Such was the normal behavior of the parents. Discover stories at Empire. Regarding Xixi's divine talent, Li Chei wasn't worried at all. Every day, using pure heart for divine grooming and cleansing, compared to when Li Qingshan was tested, Xixi's innate divinity today, perhaps even surpassed that time. But exactly how high, Li Chei had no idea. Qinghong, who is that? Li Chei suddenly spoke to Shangguan Qinghong by his side. Shangguan Qinghong was startled, not expecting that Li Chei would suddenly ask such a question during a critical moment of testing Xixi's divine talent. Subconsciously, she followed the direction Li Chei pointed. Elder of Watching Tide Pavilion. Xiao Beihe, a master of the void phase. It seemed that Shangguan Qinghong had been instructed to please Li Chei, so she immediately introduced him. And that one? Great Elder of Watching Tide Pavilion. Zhao Kuyu, void phase complete. Shangguan Qinghong seemed to know the information of everyone like the back of her hand, whoever Li Chei asked about, she could name. And as the two whispered back and forth with light words and glances. On the high platform, everyone's gaze was drawn. With the looking nature divine formation activated, the divinity of all supreme spiritual children and upper-class spiritual children began to surge forth. The first to transform into a rising mist of smoke were the 15 supreme spiritual children, and after 5 or 6 breaths, the divinity of upper-class spiritual children ascended. The divinity turned into purple smoke columns, continuously rising as if drawn by the umbrella canopy, resembling purple bamboo freshly sprinkled with spring rain after a storm, climbing higher and higher. However, everyone's gaze was focused on the 15 supreme spiritual children. The talents among the supreme spiritual children also varied in degree. Taking the lead was Hai Chao Sheng. The growth rate of his purple smoke column was extremely fast, soaring straight upwards, and it quickly surpassed 10 feet. Following closely behind him were Gong Yangshu and then Huang Si Xiang. Xixi's face turned red, blinking her large eyes, watching the purple smoke column billowing from her head. She ranked 6th among the 15 supreme spiritual children, which was above average. Hai Chao Sheng, seeing his purple smoke column growing the fastest, instantly wore a smile of pride on his lips. Indeed, he was the unparalleled one. What xixi, what huang si xiang, what gong yang xiu. They are just so. Hai Chao Sheng is a talent who could even get his hands on treasures his divine minister ancestor hesitated to bring out. When the divine pillars of the supreme spiritual children had increased to nearly 50 feet, the speed of rising started to slow down. Some supreme spiritual children had no way to continue and were stuck under 50 feet, unable to surpass it. Hai Chao Sheng's purple aura divinity pillar directly surpassed 50 feet, unstoppable, and continued to rise. Following closely, the purple aura divinity pillars of people like Huang Si Xiang, Gong Yangshu, Gong Yuan Liang, and Shang Guan King Glei also broke through 50 feet, and surpassing 50 feet could obtain a superior grade rating. But how high specifically had yet to be determined, depending on where it would eventually stop. Qin Feng Huo's purple aura divinity pillar stopped at 59 feet. Gong Yuan Liang reached 65 feet, while Huang Si Xiang reached 69 feet. Gong Yangshu's purple aura divinity pillar also stopped growing, and settled at 72 feet, still a distance from the 100 feet canopy. Hai Chao Sheng's purple aura divinity pillar continued to grow. However, the smug look on his face gradually disappeared, turning serious. Because, not far from him, there was another purple aura divinity pillar slowly rising. It was slow but steady. Hai Chao Sheng turned his head to look, his eyes narrowing. It was that firework girl. How could it be? Xixi's purple aura divinity pillar had started so slow, even slower than Gong Yangshu and Gong Yuan Liang, how could it catch up? The other supreme spiritual children also noticed this scene, and they all widened their eyes. Two purple aura divinity pillars, standing out like cranes among chickens, rising. Yet to stop, still ascending. Hai Chao Sheng's purple aura divinity pillar was always in the lead, roughly leading by about 5 feet. Suddenly, Hai Chao Sheng's expression froze. His purple aura divinity pillar, it froze. Stuck at 91 feet. No way to continue. He turned his head, staring intently at Xixi, watching that firework girl's purple aura divinity pillar. Slowly but surely, Xixi's purple aura divinity pillar, just like that, slowly and steadily, like a snail's crawl, surpassed his pillar amid Hai Chao Sheng's pale disbelief, surpassing 91 feet. At Xixi's eyes lit up, then her smile gradually widened. Hands on hips, chest, and stomach thrust out. Emperor Xixi, overlooking everything. Evil ministers, kneel down. Even Li Che, who was at that moment examining the corpse curse mark, couldn't help but shift his gaze over. On the high platform, Zhu Hongdou had completely stood up, staring at Xixi's purple aura divinity pillar. Even sect master Nan Luo was taken aback by the sight. Rise, rise, rise. Under everyone's watchful eyes. Xixi's purple aura divinity pillar leisurely topped the 100 feet umbrella canopy. Sect master Nan Luo suddenly stood up. 100 feet divinity. Innate divine child. P.S. Monday, asking for a fresh batch of recommendation tickets. Chapter 216. Innate God Child. Divine Child. Nan Luo suddenly stood up, his always gentle face underwent some changes, and a gleam flickered in his eyes. Divinity purple smoke rising to 100 feet. Indeed, an innate God child. This was the talent designation of children recorded in the observation skill. Surpassing a supreme spiritual child, such individuals are extremely rare. In Golden Light Prefecture City, including the surrounding 13 cities, it was rare to find a divine child in a jiazi, like during this selection, Li Qingshan had not discovered any divine child before. As they passed each city, Li Qingshan would use the observation skill to select spiritual children, categorizing them into different levels, and then arrange for them to come to Mansion City. However, he had only selected 3 supreme spiritual children so far. As for a divine child, he had not even seen a hint of one. Not just in Golden Light Prefecture City, but throughout the 4 Mansion cities under Yun Province's jurisdiction, the situation was similar. Golden Light Prefecture was considered a powerful mansion city, the main peak location of the Divine Sect branch of Yun Province. The other 3 prefectures were even worse, with very few supreme spiritual children and hardly mentioning divine children. Therefore, across the whole Yun Province, divine children were rare for decades. Unless it was the Dao city where the authentic divine sect's gate was located, divine children new disciples would appear during each sect disciple assessment. Nan Luo had not expected that this divine sect branch assessment would result in the appearance of a divine child. It wasn't just Nan Luo who was shocked. When the divinity purple smoke column above XIXI's head reached 100 feet high, touching the mushroom canopy above, nearly all divine symbol cultivators could hardly restrain their divine sense, causing fluctuations. At 100 feet, one is a divine child. It's a divine child. Golden Light Prefecture City, this sect entry assessment actually produced a divine child. The diviner ancestors from the 5 great clans were all eyes twinkling, igniting a storm of thoughts in their minds. Temple Control Bureau, Kintian Observatory, Divine Guard Army's divine facade experts, were all emotionally stirred. Especially from the Temple Control Bureau's direction, the supervisor's divine facade pressure was almost uncontrollable, leaking out. That eager, wall-prying sentiment was almost blatantly obvious. The Temple Control Bureau's usual style was to pry the corners of divine sect walls, since the imperial court wasn't actively recruiting spiritual children, but once a promising seed appeared, the Temple Control Bureau would proceed in this manner. A divine child, enough for the supervisor and governor of the Temple Control Bureau to go all out. However, corner prying wasn't so easy. After all, this divine child was too young, merely 3 years old, so if one wanted to snatch the 3-year-old divine child, one would have to start from their parents. Temple Control Bureau area. Zhang Lianhao was utterly astonished, being the general inspector who had even trailed Li Che for a while. Although he initially dismissed suspicions about Li Che's identity, Li Che ultimately remained in his memory. Now, Li Che's daughter turned out to be a divine child. Zhang Lianhao was extremely surprised. Father, thanks to the daughter now. A divine child emerges, the divine sect branch is likely to place great importance. Li Che will also gain attention from the divine sect because of his daughter's divine child status. Absolutely wealthy now. Zhang Lianhao sat in his chair and shook his head. As for whether this divine child would be poached by the Temple Control Bureau, that seemed very unlikely. Divine Sect's sect master Nan Luo would definitely not let go of a divine child and was sure to be extensively prepared. A 3-year-old divine child, starting to be heavily nurtured by the divine sect branch from now on, this future, will surely enter the Ganyuan Orthodox sect of Lingnan Circuit. By then it will truly skyrocket. Zhang Lianhao was profoundly moved. The unpredictability of life, one's fate was uncertain, wasn't it? Who could have thought that the Li family, upon arriving in Mansion City, had still been worried about being persecuted by Qin Yuking? Now, the Qin family would probably not dare to easily trouble the Li family anymore. Zhang Qingzheng was somewhat astonished. This astonishment, even his normally stoic and bitter lotus-like face couldn't conceal. A divine child. Zhang Qingzheng's robe fluttered, his dead fish eyes lit up. Really good! He exclaimed in admiration. The supreme spiritual children, however, were all as stunned as petrified chickens, eyes wide and tongues tied. Especially Hai Chao Sheng, who stared blankly at the divinity purple smoke pillar above XIXI's head which directly surpassed his height, entering the 100-feet mark. His face suddenly felt burning hot. Wasn't it said that he was the only unrivaled individual among this generation of newcomers? Now it was clear he was trampled underfoot by XIXI. This 3-year-old violent little girl has now become the unparalleled existence in this generation. He, Hai Chao Sheng, was just trash. Hai Chao Sheng's eyes moistened, an inexplicable sense of injustice made him feel the urge to cry. He was supposed to be the genius silently nurtured by his ancestor. Yet, he lost to a 3-year-old violent little girl. Hai Chao Sheng felt so powerless. The other children were also utterly shocked. They were just children, without much thought, but they felt. XIXI is amazing. The battered-up Sheng Guanqing Glei gritted his teeth with resentment. Oh heavens, how unfair. This stinky girl also possessed 100 feet of innate divinity, becoming a divine child-like figure? Gong Yuan Liang and Gong Yangshu did not have so many thoughts. Wow! XIXI is so amazing, topped out. 5-year-old Gong Yangshu jumped and clapped. Gong Yuan Liang also nodded, worthy of being the child of someone my aunt knows. Also the child of someone my grandfather knows. Gong Yangshu, not to be outdone, immediately retorted. Seeing that the two were about to argue again, XIXI helplessly touched her forehead. Truly two troublesome evil ministers. Stop arguing, eat some sunflower seeds. 3 seeds each. XIXI grabbed a handful of sunflower seeds, dividing 3 seeds each, fair and square. Chapter 217. Gong Yuan Liang and Gong Yang scholar quieted down. After Zhang Qingzheng's gaze swept over all the upper-class spirit children and supreme spirit children, and he recorded their names along with the height of their individual divinity purple chi columns. He concluded the second segment of the assessment. Of course, the assessments for the middle-grade spirit children and lower spirit children were not overseen by him, Zhang Qingzheng, as they were essentially only eligible for the outer sect, and naturally, it was the duty of the outer sect's officials to handle their evaluations. The assessment became quite complex, with many being eliminated, and Zhang Qingzheng naturally couldn't be bothered to manage that. As soon as the looking nature divine formation dissipated, the crisp spring chill sprinkled down like fine rain. Explore more at Empire. Zhang Qingzheng, with his scholar's robe billowing in the wind, sleeves hiding a cleansing breeze, stood on the platform and announced in a deep voice, "The second segment of the true successor assessment is over. Based on the heights of the divinity purple chi columns measured by the observation skill, the top 5 scores are as follows. Li Nuangzai, 100 meters high, rated as G as a child prodigy, divine child talent. Hai Chao Sheng, 91 meters high, rated superior grade, a supreme spirit child. Gong Yang scholar, 72 meters high, rated superior grade, a supreme spirit child. Huang Si Xiang, 69 meters high, rated superior grade, a supreme spirit child. Gong Yuan Liang, 65 meters high, rated superior grade, a supreme spirit child. As soon as Zhang Qingzheng finished speaking, a rustling noise arose from below, and several supreme spirit children atop the platform showed slight changes in expression. Taking into account the scoring of the first segment, the selected ones to advance to true successors are Li Nuangzai, Hai Chao Sheng, Gong Yuan Liang. Zhang Qingzheng said. As his words ended, there was an immediate uproar. Zhang Qingzheng suddenly swept his sleeve, and an invisible windstorm enveloped XIXI, Hai Chao Sheng, and Gong Yuan Liang. As if riding the clouds and driving the mist, Zhang Qingzheng brought the 3 of them to appear on the high platform, facing sect master Nan Luo and the other elders. Being able to step on the high platform meant that they were advancing to become true disciples, about to be taken under the wing of one of the elders' peaks. As the 3 children landed on the high platform, Hai Chao Sheng and Gong Yuan Liang were almost ignored. The eyes of sect master Nan Luo, elder Zhu Hongdou, Su Juqing and Wang Weiu were all focused on the bewildered XIXI, who still had melon seeds stuffed in her mouth. Crack! XIXI subconsciously bit and shattered the melon seed. The sound of the cracking shell was like thunder. It gave XIXI quite a scare. Ha 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 ha, good child, a fine child. Elder Wang Weiu, a man in plain clothes with white hair and beard, appeared far kinder than Zhang Qingzheng by a lot. He laughed heartily, full of appreciation for XIXI. Another elder, Su Juqing, looked like a young man, tall and slender, dressed in white, with a streamlight sword on his back restraining its divinity. He also held XIXI in high regard, his eyes filled with expectation. Zhu Hongdou's eyes had already been fixedly staring at XIXI, unable to move away. Zhang Qingzheng took a deep breath, his dead fish eyes serious and wary as he stared at the 3 people. Elders, when choosing disciples, we need to wait until all the true successors are determined. You must not cheat. Wait until I get there before we all choose together. Zhu Hongdou and the others laughed without saying anything. Zhang Qingzheng was infuriated, always feeling that as soon as he turned his head, he would lose a fair chance to attract XIXI's favor. However, the selection of the true successor was not yet over, and as the presiding elder, he naturally could not linger here. He turned his head towards the sect master, bowed with clasped fists. Sect master, there is still one true successor position remaining in this assessment. Among those who succeeded in the first segment's challenge, there are Qin Fenghuo and Jin Ao, but in the second segment Gong Yang scholar and Huang Si Xiang scored higher in terms of talent. Therefore, the last true successor will be chosen from these 4. Zhang Qingzheng said. Sect master Nan Luo stood up, hands behind his back, and smiled faintly. Talent takes precedence. Gong Yang scholar's talent measured 72 meters, ranking 3rd, hence he should be admitted first. Huang Si Xiang, Qin Fenghuo, and Jin Ao, enter the inner sect. Sect master Nan Luo made the decision. He then turned with Zhang Qingzheng to look towards the other 3 elders. However, Zhang Qingzheng saw something that made his eyes nearly pop out of his head. Because the three elders had already started to sweet-talk Xixi, using a mix of emotion and reason to tempt her. They took out elixirs, divine weapons, Ju Shui to market themselves, tempting Xixi to choose their peaks. Flag planting for a sale. Utterly shameless. Zhang Qingzheng's body trembled with anger. The sect master, however, patted Zhang Qingzheng, Elder Zhang, do not be angered, proceed to make the announcement, don't let the children get anxious. Zhang Qingzheng's irritation eased somewhat, the sect master was indeed kind, gentle, and well-mannered, caring for the elderly. Zhang Qingzheng swept his sleeve and floated back onto the platform. He announced the remaining true disciples' spot. The 5-year-old Gongyang scholar, clueless, was brought up to the high platform. Thus, all 4 true disciples were now assembled. On the platform, Qin Fenghuo was utterly disheartened. He had not been selected. He actually wasn't a true disciple? In the second segment, his divinity purple chi column had also surpassed 50 meters, yet he had not been selected. A strong sense of defeat caused Qin Fenghuo's heart to sink. Above all, among the 4 true disciples this time, Li Nuangzai, that little girl, was not a descendant of a noble family from the Mansion City. She came from one of the 13 cities outside the Mansion City. He, Qin Fenghuo, from the Qin family, had enjoyed abundant resources since childhood, yet he actually lost to this 3-year-old girl. Such agony! Such torment, as if about to split open. The 7-year-old Qin Fenghuo endured a failure he should not have had to at his age. Shangguan Qinglei, on the other hand, wasn't much concerned. From the moment he was battered by Li Nuangzai in the first segment of the challenge, he knew that he was out of contention for the title of true disciple. Chapter 218. Qin Fenghuo truly met with misfortune. Despite successfully defending his position and surpassing a height of 50 feet in the second segment of Divinity Chi column, he was shockingly eliminated and ended up as an intersect disciple just like the others. Shangguan Qinglei felt quite pleased. One fears comparison, but it is also through comparison that hope arises. The true successors were announced. The names of the 4 true successors echoed at the base of Divine Sect Mountain, stirring endless discussions among the boiling crowd. The name Xixi, in particular, became a frequently mentioned name among many people. A 3-year-old girl from one of the 13 cities of Mansion City, astonishingly overshadowed the offspring of the 5 great clans and 5 great sects to become a divine sect true successor. Moreover, in the second segment, she displayed prodigious talent. It was simply too inspirational. This could indeed become the main story told by storytellers in tea houses across Golden Light Prefecture for the next month. In the parents' area, Zhang Ye's eyes were vacant, a silly smile on her face. Xixi has become a true successor, hee, my Xixi has become a true successor. Snapping out of it, she excitedly grabbed Li Chei's arm, husband, our little Xixi has become a divine sect true successor. Li Chei concluded his investigation of the corpse curse marks around the area, now having a list in mind. In that moment, he too joined his wife in exultation. Master Li, congratulations! Having a daughter with such a rare talent is truly a joyous occasion, worthy of celebration. Nurse Momo immediately congratulated him with a smile. Old Chen, too, finally relaxed and joined in with a grin too wide for his face. Li Chei and Zhang Yue, the couple, stood up together to thank and respond. And not just them, many people around who knew that Li Chei and Zhang Yue were the parents of the prodigy Xixi, came forward to offer their congratulations. For a while, the sounds of congratulations were incessant and reverberating uninterrupted. Zhang Lianhao, the head of the Temple Control Bureau, along with divine envoys Hong Yang and Shi Lei also came forward to offer their congratulations. Lu He, Hai Chuanying, and other guest officials from the Qintian Observatory, as well as the plump junior supervisor Gong Yunli and Gongyang Liancheng, all came over to congratulate them. Li Chei took the opportunity to introduce his colleagues and leaders to Zhang Yue. For a moment, the atmosphere was joyful and harmonious. The human world sometimes emphasizes a balance. There are joys and there are sorrows. The Qin family. Qin Hunan and Qin Liziao looked at each other in disbelief, faces slightly contorted. Family head Qin Kang's gaze swept over. Did you initially suspect that this Li Chei killed Yuking? And even sent a shadow tracker to tail him? Qin Hunan nodded. This Li Chei must have known about our Qin family, and felt the pressure and threat Yuking once brought to his family. That's why as soon as he arrived at Mansion City, he rushed to become a third-class guest official at the Kintian Observatory. Family head Qin King spoke indifferently, I heard he's just a country bumpkin from Feilei City who had the dumb luck of having a prodigious daughter. Feng Huo performed very well in this assessment, although unlucky, it's not without further opportunity. Divine Sect will organize the Temple God Resonance soon, and Feng Huo will still have a chance to turn things around. Qin King said sternly. Hearing this, Qin Hunan nodded, glancing at family head Qin King, not restraining his impulse, since Yuking posed a great threat to Li Chei's family, shouldn't the Li family send a gift? Qin King looked at him. The atmosphere around suddenly became more oppressive, breathlessly stifling. After a long pause. Just when Qin Hunan thought he had misspoken, Qin King indifferently said, you take a gift over. Qin Hunan was stunned, thinking he had misheard. After all, she is a prodigy. Qin King uttered somberly. This girl will surely enter the Ganyuan Orthodox sect in the future. If she survives the journey. On the high stage. XIXI was surrounded by 3 elders, looking a bit perplexed and confused. They were all competing for XIXI to choose their sect, what to decide. XIXI was really troubled. Daddy, come quickly. XIXI felt somewhat uncomfortable calling out in her heart. If Daddy were here now, he would surely help her make a decision. Suddenly, Sect Master Nan Luo approached, and the 3 elders timely moderated themselves. Explore more at Empire. Elder Zhu, beaming with joy, addressed the Sect Master, Sect Master, I think XIXI should join my Red Cloud Peak, I have lots of experience in teaching female disciples. Elder Zhu, that's not quite right. The handsome and clear-eyed Elder Su Juking opened his mouth to object. Zhongqing Zheng was already frowning and rolling up his sleeves, ready for a debate and competition over XIXI. However, Sect Master Nan Luo raised his hand with a gentle expression, pressing it down, and the 4 elders subsided, preparing to gauge the mood before competing for disciples. Let me say something, everyone. Sect Master Nan Luo said with a smile. From a distance, Li Qingshan and many other peak masters of illusory phase level combat power also pricked up their ears, keen to listen. It's been 10 years since I have taken a disciple, and having a divine child join my divine sect Golden Light Branch is our great fortune. Upon hearing the sect master's opening remarks, Elder Zhu instantly changed color. This old coot, he was actually going to compete with them for a disciple. She had been too negligent, forgetting this old man. Elder Zhu trembled, unable to believe she had overlooked him. I, too, would like to take a true successor as my disciple. Sect Master Nan Luo looked gently at everyone, leaving the 4 elders speechless, unsure of how to argue. The sect master personally taking a disciple. Could they compete with that? Zhongqing Zheng was shaking all over, such shameless audacity. He had even previously considered the sect master to be a kind person, all smiles wasted. However, do not be too disappointed, since XIXI is a prodigy with divine talent, she will surely be sent to the Ganyuan Orthodox sect for advanced studies, to compete with the geniuses of the Orthodox sect, and strive for glory for our Golden Light Branch. Chapter 219. So, I, the sect master, hope that the 4 elders, can join me in cultivating Zixi. We must strive to develop Zixi's talents, aiming for her future entry into the top 10 of the Divine Sect True Inheritance Jianyuan rankings, to win our Golden Light sub-sect the resource inclination from the authentic sect. Sect Master Nan Luo proclaimed, waving his arm. Instantly, there was silence. The 4 elders almost simultaneously glared, their eyes nearly bursting, old fools. Stealing their beloved disciples was one thing, but planning to freeload off them. Unfilial. I agree. Unexpectedly, the first to express his stance was Zhongqing Zheng. I agree, my twin sleeves peak shall be open to Zixi for free entry and exit. Zhongqing Zheng said solemnly. Zhu Hongdou widened her eyes and followed suit, I'll also open up Red Cloud Peak for Zixi, she may stay as long as she wishes if she likes, I truly adore this little girl. Su Juking and Wang Wuyu hesitated for a moment, then sighed and expressed their stances one after another. Li Qingshan, watching from the side, was dumbfounded. This situation. He had truly never encountered it before. A disciple being jointly fostered by the higher echelons of the divine sect, what kind of treatment was this? The treatment of the pet of the Qianyuan divine sect Golden Light Branch. Because Zixi has joined my tutelage and become a successorship of the sect master, there will be one less true successor of the elders, Elder Zhang, then promote Huang Si Xiang, whose talent is slightly lesser than Gong Yangshu, who also narrowly lost to Guang Yuan Liang in the defense battle, into the true succession. No need. Zhu Hongdou refused. Without a female disciple, I, Zhu Hongdou, will not accept a true successor this term. I will concentrate on fostering Zixi. Zhu Hongdou's decision didn't surprise everyone. Then, Huang Si Xiang will remain in the inner section. Sect Master Nan Luo didn't mind it either. The next moment, he walked up to Zixi and reached out to hold her small hand. An invisible surge of air flared up from all around. Carrying Zixi, Sect Master Nan Luo soared directly into the sky, as if riding clouds and mist, suspended midair, appearing as if thousands of rays of light erupted, shimmering brightly. Li Nuangzai of the Mansion City, possessing 100 feet of divinity, achieved bone-tempering great achievement at the age of 3, mastered master-level martial techniques, successfully nurtured her nature, a peerless prodigy from Golden Light Prefecture. Today, after the collective discussion and decision of many divine minister elders and myself, the sect master of the divine sect Golden Light Branch is now an authentic sect master successor. Awarded with the 7 elemental divine weapon Jianyuan Diamond Circle, 1 7th grade Jianyuan initial solidifying martial pill, 1 7 elements divine wood carving, the martial path unique skill of the Golden Light Branch Mystic Thunder Golden Light Killing Sword Technique, and the Heaven and Earth Divine Object Golden Light Evil. As the voice fell, it was like thunder. Before the stone arch at the base of Divine Sect Mountain Gate, all those present were engulfed in silence, only endless shock swirling tumultuously. Successorship of the Sect Master. Not just a true successorship of an elder, but of the Jianyuan Divine Sect Golden Light Branch's Sect Master. One with a potential future to assume the position of Sect Master himself. But even more exhilarating were those rewards promised by Sect Master Nan Luo. A 7 elemental divine weapon. A 7th stage martial pill. A martial path unique skill. The Heaven and Earth Divine Object Golden Light Evil. Truly, the envy of everyone. This is the foundation of the divine sect, this is skyrocketing as a true successor of the sect master. Other true successorships of the elders too would have various rewards, although nowhere near that of the sect master's successorship. Yet, the rewards of the sect master's successorship, as pronounced, simply makes everyone's heart itch with envy. However, this was not yet over. Sect Master Nan Luo, holding Zixi, remained suspended in the air. At that moment, auspicious clouds descended slowly, landing before the Divine Sect Mountain Gate, in front of the family zone. A vast omnipresent pressure thunderously arose, as if shaking the 9 Dragons River, causing giant waves to crash. Everyone dared not breathe out loud. This was a top-tier expert from Golden Light Prefecture, among the very pinnacle of the powerful. Now, face to face, his aura was unparalleled. Nan Luo held Zixi's hand, his gaze gently falling upon Li Che and Zhang Yue. Li Che quickly grabbed Zhang Yue and bowed to Sect Master Nan Luo with fists clasped. Zixi's parents, Madame Li, Zhang family have nurtured the divine child Zixi, have been meritorious in providing talent to our divine sect, awarded with 2 9 luminaries divine weapons, 2 8th grade martial pills, a pass for entry and exit to the divine sect, 10,000 taels of gold, 3 shops in Mansion City. To thank the 2 of you for raising the divine child. Nan Luo's gaze was warm as he spoke to Li Che and Zhang Yue. The sound thundered like a clap of thunder beyond the clouds. The roar exploded at the very front of the Divine Sect Mountain Gate. Chapter 220. To express gratitude for the nurturing of a divine child. The nurturing of a divine child. The grace. The noise surged like tides, undulating and echoing as if it had traveled from distant mountains, resonating beside everyone's eardrums. Like thunder after clouds. A stir of shock, envy, jealousy. Almost all sorts of emotions burst forth in an instant, so much so that many cultivators could not even control the 7 emotions divinity of their own cultivation. Resulting in various kinds of divinity, stirring and intertwining to form a storm that permeated in front of the Divine Sect Mountain Gate. Parents honored through their daughter indeed. This truly can be said to be parents gaining unparalleled wealth and honor through their daughter. Because they had raised Xixi, a true successor of the sect master, they had received the reward of the 9 luminaries divine weapon, an 8th grade martial pill, and the permits for entering and exiting the divine sect. What did this signify? It meant that Li Che and Zhang Yue, this couple, even had a death exemption token. Even if they committed offenses in Mansion City, by using the divine sect's entrance permit, and taking refuge within the divine sect, they could receive protection. As for the 10,000 taels of gold and the 3 shops in Mansion City, these were not trivial either, enough to elevate Li Chei's family to a wealthy and honorable family in Mansion City. Sect Master Nan Li Huo wore a gentle smile, his sleeves billowing as a breeze fluttered through them. Li Chei was slightly startled, then a smile appeared on his lips, and he pulled over Zhang Ye, who was somewhat dazed by the sudden shower of wealth and honor. Zhang Ye was unlike Li Chei. Li Chei had even developed the Qunkan jade of an illusory phase cultivator, so he could still maintain his composure in the face of such wealth and honor. But Zhang Ye was not like that, it was her first time being smashed on the head with such wealth and honor. Unfamiliar concepts like the 9 luminaries divine weapon, the 8 extremes martial pill. Just the 10,000 taels of gold and the 3 shops in Mansion City alone completely overwhelmed her. Many thanks to the sect master for these gifts. Li Chei bowed with clasped hands, bending forward as he thanked. Zhang Ye hastily mimicked the gesture, also bowing in response. Nan Li Huo looked at the honest and upright couple, his eyes brimming with an even richer gentleness and appreciation. The rest of the gifts are commonplace, however, this permit for entering and exiting the sect gates should be particularly useful to you. If you miss XIXI, you may use this permit to enter Divine Sect's Golden Light Peak. Nan Li Huo said gently. Li Chei once again thanked the sect master. Indeed, this entrance permit was immensely important. Though for him it was quite ordinary, since Li Chei had placed a thunder chess piece on XIXI, if he wanted to see XIXI, a single teleportation would suffice. But for Zhang Ye, the mother, without this entrance permit, she might have to be separated from her daughter for a very long time. For a cultivator who cultivates without regard to days or months, how much must Zhang Ye, as a mother, miss XIXI? Thus, Li Chei was truly grateful to sect master Nan Li Huo. Nan Li Huo returned XIXI to Li Chei and Zhang Ye. In 3 days, someone will come to take XIXI to the mountain, you may also follow and send her up the mountain. Afterward, each month, with the Divine Sect entrance permit, you may ascend Golden Light Peak twice to accompany XIXI. Zhang Ye hugged XIXI, and the family of 3 together thanked sect master Nan Li Huo. Nan Li Huo glanced absently at the sweet family of 3, then snapped back to reality, his eyes unconsciously flickering with envy and sorrow. XIXI, in 3 days, we will prepare for your initiation ceremony, remember to call me master then. Okay, sect master. XIXI called out with a smile. Nan Li Huo was rendered speechless, soon breaking into a light chuckle, really a clever and astute little sprite. Nan Li Huo gently tapped XIXI's head 3 times, then with a swirl of his sleeves, he drew them behind him, his robes hanging upside down, turning into a streak of light that vanished in a flash. Lingnan Qianyuan Divine Sect, Golden Light Subsect, Entry Examination. Continue. Li Chei's family completely became the focus, attracting the gaze and envy of countless people. However, the attention did not last long, as the focus of everyone still returned to the Divine Sect entry exams. Though the selection of the 15 supreme spiritual children as true successors had ended, the assessments for the hundreds of upper-class spiritual children, along with even more mid-grade and low-grade spiritual children, had just begun. For many parents who had brought their spirit child children from distant places to participate in the Divine Sect exams, this was the most important matter. If they could be admitted into the Divine Sect, that would mean their future cultivation was guaranteed, as the resources within Divine Sect were innumerable, and the growth would definitely be much better than outside in towns and cities. Uncle Li Liang put away his dry tobacco pipe and came over to Li Chei's side, first heartily congratulating him, then somewhat sheepishly asking for help. Li Chei, holding XIXI, immediately smiled upon seeing Uncle Li Liang. Uncle, don't worry, I've already arranged everything for Chen Su's entry into the Divine Sect. XIXI's entry into the Divine Sect was as sure as a nail in board, but Li Chengzhou was different. Li Chen Su's divine talent was just that of a lower spirit child. Even entering the outer sect would be somewhat challenging. However, for Li Chei now, getting Li Chengzhou into the outer sect wasn't a difficult task at all. Getting him into the inner sect might be challenging, indeed, since the talent of a lower spirit child really wasn't enough. But getting him into the outer sect wasn't much of an issue, he just needed to mention it to Li Qingshan, and Li Qingshan would arrange it directly. As the peak master of Zhenglei Peak who could wield void aspect combat power, Li Qingshan had outer sect disciple quotas under his command and directly accepted Li Chengzhou. After hearing Li Chei's words, Uncle was incredibly excited, grabbing Li Chei's hand and continuously expressing his feelings. Uncle, don't worry, I will also enter Senior Kingshan's Zhanglei Peak, and I'll take good care of Cheng Zhou. He won't be bullied on the mountain. Li Che said, reassuringly smiling. Chapter 221. His great-uncle's family had raised him, and his cousin had treated him as a dear younger brother. Such a small favor was something he had long kept in mind. Thank you, Che. The great-uncle pursed his lips. When the great-uncle brought word back, Lu Chunming immediately took swift action, bringing Li Chengzhou and a somewhat sheepish Li Zhengran, his older cousin, to thank Li Che. Ever since Li Zhengran had been brought back from the million gambling house by Li Che, he had felt awkward. Despite turning over a new leaf, there was a sense of shame, and he found it hard to look Li Che in the eye. However, his cousin-in-law, Lu Chunming, was somewhat angry. Although Che sees you as family, he has done our family such a big favor. Going to thank him is only proper. Chen's future is closely linked to Che, what are you nervous about, as his father? Hey! Li Zhengran fell silent, pulled along by Lu Chunming. Che, to take care of Chengzhou in the mountains. We must rely on you. He is still young, just 3 years old. Said his cousin-in-law, Lu Chunming, her voice choking up as she spoke. Li Che looked at the restrained Li Chengzhou and, smiling, picked him up, saying to Lu Chunming, don't worry. Chengzhou, he's even a few months younger than XIXI. Such a child, if not for his future, which parents would willingly part with their child? I've just received the divine sex pass from the sect master himself. I'll be under the Green Mountain Peak Master's command. When you want to visit XIXI in the divine sect, just find Yaya, take the pass and go up the mountain together. Upon hearing this, Lu Chunming covered her mouth, her face flushed with excitement as she cried tears of joy. Li Zhengran watched his wife's expression, his heart filled with mixed emotions. He turned to Li Che and said earnestly, Che, thank you so much. Li Che smiled and replied, cousin, you're too polite. Don't worry. Li Zhengran nodded firmly. The great aunt could not help but wipe away tears, too. Come on, after Chen's outer sect disciple assessment is over, we'll all go to my residence to celebrate with a feast tonight. Li Che said with a smile. Nurse Momo, invite the Green Mountain Senior to join us, too. Nurse Momo held XIXI in her arms, her face full of tender smiles as she replied. Li, what about me? Shang Guan Qinghong spoke up, her mouth stuffed with preserved fruit. You, just scoop up a bowl. Li Che joked. Shang Guan Qinghong didn't mind the teasing, and immediately grinned, running off to play with XIXI. The Li family of Listening Flowers Lane had become completely famous in the area. The news that XIXI had become the Divine Sex Sect Master's true successor had spread throughout Golden Light Prefecture City in just half a day. A divine child with 100-foot divinity, a rarity once in 50 years for the entire prefecture. What a shock it was! The Li family could be considered an example of one person attaining the way and lifting the entire family to the heavens. In 3 days' time, the news spread even more rapidly, and the doorstep of Li Che's Listening Flowers Lane residence was nearly worn thin from visitors. Almost every day brought people coming to offer congratulations. Among the 5 great clans, the Hai family, Gongyang family and Gong family each sent people to congratulate them, bringing lavish gifts. Even the Qin family, to Li Che's surprise, sent gifts. It was Qin Hunan, an important figure from the 3rd generation of the Qin family, who was related to Qin Yuking whom Li Che had shot, who sent the substantial gifts. Master Li, my sister, may have shifted her anger toward your family, causing you fear and trouble. My Qin family is here to apologize, said Qin Hunan with a sincere attitude. One does not hit a smiling face, and naturally, Li Che let bygones be bygones with a smile. Initially, Qin Yuking did indeed bring him considerable pressure upon arriving at the mansion city. But now, with Qin Yuking shot by him and the Qin family offering an apology, he naturally wouldn't create enemies without reason. The Shangguan family had not sent anyone, which was not surprising since Shangguan Qinglei nearly died from an attack by XIXI. And Shangguan Zhengheng even intended to use the void aspect to pressure XIXI. This grudge was carefully noted by Li Che. When it comes to being petty, especially regarding his daughter, Li Che has zero tolerance. The Temple Control Bureau and the Kintian Observatory also had people visiting, all having attended the banquet. Almost every major influence in the mansion city had come by. This made Listening Flowers Lane suddenly the center of attention in the city, and the neighbors around Flower Lane were stunned, each reflecting and wondering if they had somehow offended the Li family. Warm spring winds heralded the end of the late cold snap, warming the air. All things began to revive, and plants started sprouting tender buds. In Listening Flowers Lane, the spring breeze brought the fresh scent of willow catkins and moist earth. The alley was extremely lively. People had gathered early on, and Zhangya dressed XIXI in new clothes and tied her hair with a cute red rope. She even lightly dotted XIXI's forehead with vermilion sand. XIXI, when you get to Divine Sect Mountain, listen to your master, okay? Don't be naughty. Without your mom by your side, be good, she advised her. XIXI will miss mom, and mom will miss you. Without mom to put you to sleep, you have to learn to sleep on your own at night. XIXI, get along with your fellow disciples, but of course, if they bully you, you must tell daddy and mommy, tell your sect master. You are young, your sect master will surely stand by you. Zhangya held XIXI tightly, her lips gently pressed, incessantly talking. Her eyes were already swirling with tears. She really didn't want to let go of XIXI. However, the sect master Nan Luo said that to ensure XIXI's safety, it would be best for her to stay on the main peak of Golden Light Peak. Otherwise, Li Che could be responsible for escorting XIXI to and from the peak. Outside, a carriage was ready, with an 18-year-old lady in a pink long dress, a radiant smile, and a godly pattern on her forehead, sitting quietly on the carriage shaft, waiting. This lady was Sang Wanyan, the fourth disciple of Nan Luo and a person of divine base perfection. She was the only female disciple among Nan Luo's 4 followers, and now with XIXI joining, she was not the only one anymore. Chapter 222. Li Che also felt reluctant, hugging XIXI tightly as he and his wife, with their already sobbing child, stepped out of the courtyard. I don't wanna go, XIXI wants daddy and mommy, XIXI wants mommy, wants stinky daddy. XIXI cried heartbrokenly, with tears and snot flowing down her face. Li Che patted XIXI's back and used Immaculate Heart Divinity to soothe her emotions. XIXI, be good. Mom and dad will come to see you often. You need to practice well, become very, very powerful so that you can protect mom and dad in the future. XIXI is a divine child, for sure you'll become super strong, invincible under the heavens, and become the best in the world. Li Che comforted her in a gentle voice. XIXI, with snot bubbles popping, corrected Li Che, I'll become Emperor XIXI. Li Che was struck dumb with laughter, the sadness seemed to dissipate suddenly, even Sang Wanyan, sitting in the carriage, couldn't help but cover her mouth and chuckle. XIXI immediately looked dissatisfied, XIXI is really going to become the super powerful Emperor XIXI. Every evil minister will have to kneel before XIXI. XIXI can set off fireworks whenever I want, and no one can stop me. Li Che smiled and continued to comfort her along the lines of her words. XIXI, come here, to your senior sister. Sang Wanyan's voice was very gentle, with a sweetness in her mature tone. XIXI, who liked to look at faces, glanced twice but soon hugged Zhangya's long neck, wailing again. Mommy, XIXI will miss you, miss Stinky Daddy, miss the twist car, miss the chicken legs, miss the braised pork. XIXI kept rubbing her snotty nose and tears on Zhangya's clothes. Zhangya felt both exasperated and amused as she gently patted her bottom. All right, go now, mom knows, I'll bring you braised pork and chicken legs every time I see you. It has to be the one mommy makes. XIXI put up one finger, tilted her head, and said very seriously. I know. Afterward, Zhangya handed XIXI over to Sang Wanyan and sat with Li Che in the rear carriage. After bidding a reluctant farewell to Old Chen and their uncle's family, the two carriages crushed the spring's dusty earth, and surrounded by the fragrance of spring flowers and soil, left Listening Flowers Lane. Old Chen watched the departing carriages and suddenly felt as if all the strength had been drained from his body. Leaning against the door panel, he gazed trance-like at the departing carriages. A moment later, he picked up his liquor gourd, took a swig, and when he put it away, he casually wiped the murky tears from the corner of his eye with the back of his hand. Little Stinky XI, take good care of yourself. From today on, Grandpa Chen can't teach you martial arts anymore. Remember, you'll be missed, by Grandpa Chen. Golden Light Peak is the main peak of the Yunzhou subsect of the Qianyuan Divine Sect in the Lingnan Circuit. Towering into the clouds, the mid-mountain is shrouded in fog and clouds, so lofty and ethereal, affording a view of the Sea of Clouds. Normally, the Fenzhong Mountain Gate should be located in Yunzhou Provincial City, but the Golden Light Peak of the Qianyuan Divine Sect branch went against this norm, being situated in Golden Light Prefecture, not the state city. The main reason was this very Golden Light Peak. Due to its proximity to the Third Prince's mysterious temple in the heart of the Nine Dragons River, the whole mountain drew divinity like a lightning rod, continuously extracting it. The summit was rich with divinity, a veritable cave paradise. And there was a gold light evil condensed on Golden Light Peak, an essential heaven and earth divine object for practicing the Golden Light sub-sex martial path top-notch skills Mystic Thunder Golden Light Killing Sword Technique. This gold light evil, condensing one flower every 3 years, was extremely precious. Thus, the entrance of the Golden Light sub-sect was situated here, for the convenience of gathering gold light evil and harvesting it in a timely manner. Every 3 years, when the yin and yang converge and the skies darken, the gold light evil takes shape, only at this moment can it be harvested, or else it dissipates into the ether. However, once the Mystic Thunder Golden Light Killing Sword Technique top-notch skill was mastered, the ferocity of its offense was terrifying. If one could become a true Qi Grandmaster through this skill, their true Qi would be dominant and sharp, carrying the intimidating force of gold light evil. The 2 carriages followed the winding mountain road upwards, with the steady horses' hooves lightly tapping and the carriage jolting uncomfortably. After nearly half a day of travel, and another half day spent ascending the mountain, they finally reached the spacious plateau halfway up Golden Light Peak. Above the plateau, the vapors rising from the Nine Dragons River converged into hazy mists. Dressed in a white robe with his hair cascading, Nan Luo sat on a green stone on the plateau. By his side, there was a tall, stunningly beautiful youth who looked almost seductive. This youth was Nan Luo's 3rd disciple from among his 4 major disciples, Lu Yangyuan. "Master, our little sister has arrived." Lu Yangyuan, dressed in a scholar's attire with loose sleeves, bowed slightly with his exotic beauty. Nan Luo opened his eyes, and instantaneously, it was as if the whole mountainside brightened up, with mist swirling and fog dissipating. As Nan Luo waved his sleeve, the mist at the mountainside cleared, revealing vast clarity. On the plateau, the 2 carriages slowly came to a stop, and the dust from the wheels settled. The curtain was lifted, Sang Wanyan alighted with Xixi, whose curious eyes darted around, taking in her surroundings. From the carriage behind, Li Che and Zhang Ye also stepped down. Upon disembarking, Li Che felt his pores relax, and the exceptional concentration of the earth's divinity here astounded him. The density here was somewhat unexpected. No wonder the Golden Light sub-sect chose to establish its gate here. It wasn't just for the view of the mysterious temples of the 4 royals but also because this was an excellent place for cultivation. Li Che even felt an urge to sit down and start cultivating right away. Having condensed the 4 wheels of godly foundation rage, sorrow, thought, surprise, he felt them quake almost instantly, as if they were greedily and excitedly sucking in the rich divinity from the mountaintop. Chapter 223. Nan Luo's fiery gaze flickered open and shut, as if sensing the divine flow at mid-mountain, casting a puzzled look. However, the divinity soon returned to calm, for it turned out that Li Che had suppressed his greed. As the highest in cultivation within the divine sect, Nan Luo was on the verge of forming his primordial spirit and had exceptionally keen perception. Without giving it much thought, Nan Luo approached with Lu Yangyuan, both wearing warm smiles. "Xixi's parents, this is my 3rd disciple, Lu Yangyuan, and this is Sang Wanyan, you must recognize her," Nan Luo said with a gentle smile. Li Che and Zhang Ye nodded, paying their respects to Lu Yangyuan. "I also have a 2nd disciple who has gone to cultivate in the authentic divine sect and rarely returns," Nan Luo added. "Didn't your senior apprentice sister Yin Yin say that Master Sect Master has 4 disciples?" Xixi asked curiously, tilting her head while holding Sang Wanyan's hand. Nan Luo's gentle expression remained unchanged, but Lu Yangyuan and Sang Wanyan's faces darkened. "Your Dao Fruit eldest senior brother has already perished." Xixi immediately pursed her lips, not daring to speak. Li Che, who was beside her, hurried to apologize on behalf of Xixi, but his heart grew colder as he committed the matter to memory. How could it be so easy for the sect master's eldest disciple to perish? Li Che's brow furrowed almost imperceptibly. This matter had to be clarified. Otherwise, Li Che would also worry about Xixi's safety. This Golden Light Peak didn't seem as safe as he had imagined. "It's all right, the departed have passed on." Nan Luo appeared calm, personally taking Xixi's hand and leading her around the peak where the sect master's personal cultivation occurred. Lu Yangyuan and Sang Guanyin accompanied them gracefully, while Li Che and Zhangya followed leisurely. In fact, Nan Luo was also showing Li Che and Zhangya around. He showed them Xixi's future residence. Since Xixi was very young, she would be cared for by Sang Guanyin and live together with her. Li Che looked toward the divinely serene and beautiful Sang Guanyin and, folding his hands in salute, said, "Then I must trouble you, senior sister Sang, to take good care of Xixi. Xixi can be a handful, so please be patient with her." Sang Guanyin nodded in response. "Xixi and I hit it off right from the start. I'll take good care of her. Here at the Golden Light sub-sect, no one dares to bully her." The group then went to the temple, where Nan Luo led Xixi in paying respects to the ancestors of the authentic divine sect, thus formally completing Xixi's apprentice ceremony. It was quite simple, without much pomp or ceremony. As the long river reached sunset, the evening was aflame. Li Che received the reward promised by Nan Luo on the day of the sect entry exam and prepared to take his leave with Zhang Yue. Xixi, full of reluctance, clung to Zhang Yue's leg, refusing to let go. Zhang Yue, with tears streaming, took some time to comfort her before the couple finally boarded the carriage and rattled down the mountain. Both Li Che and Zhang Yue leaned out of the window to look back and could see Xixi, held in Sang Guanyin's embrace, crying her heart out. Zhang Yue couldn't help but cry, leaning against Li Che. "Husband, alone on the mountain, will Xixi eat well, sleep well? What should I do if I miss Xixi?" Zhang Yue felt a bit heartbroken. "Don't worry, we'll make a trip to Elder Qing Shan at Zhanglei Peak. Elder Qing Shan has agreed to let me join Zhanglei Peak, you can also join the peak. Then we can visit Xixi more often. Golden Light Peak is indeed a treasure land for cultivation, and Xixi will become much stronger there very quickly." Li Che comforted Zhang Yue while also revealing his purpose. As for safety, he left a thunder chess piece on Xixi, which would immediately respond and teleport him away once Xixi was in danger. The entrance permit to Divine Sect Mountain Gate allowed unrestricted access to enter and exit the mountain gate, but there were time restrictions to ascend Golden Light Peak. However, if they were to enter Zhanglei Peak, seeing Xixi would become much easier. Upon arriving at Zhanglei Peak, Big Head Lu Qi, with his Neza braids, was already waiting at the foot of the mountain. "Uncle Li, Aunt Zhang." Lu Qi waved excitedly. Zhanglei Peak, in comparison to Golden Light Peak, was much shorter, and it also fell short in comparison to the four great elder peaks. The most obvious difference lay in the concentration of divinity. Of course, it was still much higher than the urban district of Golden Light Mansion City. Arriving halfway up Zhanglei Peak, there was a continuous stretch of buildings. "My master asked me to arrange accommodations for you. There are not as many rules here at Zhanglei Peak as there are at the main peak. This mid-mountain area is where the inner sect disciples gather. There are many houses here, you can come to live on a daily basis and also cultivate here." Lu Qi said with a smile. Suddenly looking at Li Che, he gave a salute. "Uncle Li, the master is waiting for you at Guanshen Temple, you should go and find him. I'll take Aunt Zhang around for a tour, and then we'll go to find Nurse Momo." "Guanshen Temple?" Li Che nodded. Li Qingshan was still waiting for the corpse curse registry. He patted Zhang Ye's fair hand, which was intertwined with his, and suggested she take a good stroll around the mid-mountain town of Zhanglei Peak with Lu Qi. Afterward, he headed in the direction Lu Qi had pointed out. Suddenly, there were fewer houses on both sides, and he stepped onto a winding green stone path. And then he saw a temple with overhanging eaves and soaring corners. In front of the temple, there was a meditation cushion and a figure in blue robes, with an overwhelming and majestic divine minister's phantom looming above, about 3 meters tall, interwoven with thunderous arcs that stirred up stormy winds. Li Che stopped in his tracks, his eyes narrowing slightly. His gaze moved from the enormous phantom concentrated around Li Qingshan to the temple shrouded in lingering incense smoke. Inside stood a colorful wood carving of the deity, 2 meters tall, holding a hammer in one hand and an anvil in the other, with a golden thunder stick at its waist, wings on its back, a green face with fangs, hair like cinnabar, wrapped in thunderous arcs and electric snakes, towering on a lotus pedestal. Looking down upon the human world, its presence majestic and eyes filled with wrath. Thunder exorcism. Divinity gathered, the 1,000 analyzing hands quivered, and in an instant, a prompt interwove before Li Che's eyes. Hanging Thought Exorcising Thunderbolt Vajra Statue, 7 Elements. Li Che stared at the statue, his pores dilating. Inside his chest, the Dao Fruit's pure heart and chest saint both began to beat thunderously, like pounding drums, as if about to leap out of his body. This is Temple God. Did old Li actually bring a temple god back home? Chapter 224. The thick divinity spread all around, and Li Che felt the pure heart Dao fruit in his chest pulsate, as if it had seen something extremely delicious. It was like when he was outside Fei City, staring at the three-eyed fierce true Lord Ling Ying statue in the mysterious temple. The lingering temple god divinity filled the air with an extremely sweet scent. The two Dao fruits seemed to open their mouths, like great beasts waiting to devour. Li Che took a deep breath. Hanging Thought Exorcising Thunderbolt Vajra Statue, a 7 Yuan level statue of the deity. No, it's not a temple god. Li Che's eyes flickered, full of regret. Although the statue gave him an extremely strong stimulus, like the temptation of a temple god in the mysterious temple, after a careful observation, Li Che found out. This statue was not a temple god. It was a divine wood carving. His hands hidden in his sleeves were already itching to touch and stroke its head, alas. A 7 Yuan level divine wood carving. However, after a moment of regret, Li Che was thrilled. It meant that the carver of this statue was a 7 elements divine carver. Li Qingshan felt Li Che's arrival as well, his eyes gradually opened, and he slowly stood up, appearing as if a deity rose from his meditation mat. The divinity between heaven and earth boiled as if someone emerged from a pool, with water rushing down on either side, producing a roaring crash. You've come. Li Qingshan turned around, his physical body actually separated from the great divine phase void shadow, like a jiaolong shedding its skin. With the rise and fall of his chest, each breath he took pulled the air streams of the world with it, along with the divinity, which he inhaled and exhaled through his mouth and nose. It was like a true dragon breathing out, every inch of skin quivering with power, tyrannical and terrifying, as if his entire being had transformed into a jiaolong. True intent. This was Grand Master True Intent, the true intent of a mastered ultimate study, like the essence of the divine vein melting into the transformation realm, infused in every movement of the flesh. Huff! Li Qingshan's eyes were brilliant, like two radiant shooting stars in the night sky, and with the movement of his body, steam rose and his qi and blood burned fiercely. Grand Master True Intent means to practice an ultimate study to its extreme, to integrate it into one's daily actions, walking, lying down, and sitting, merging the essence of the ultimate study with man and with the divine. The ultimate study I practice comes from the Golden Light sub-sect of the Qian Yuan Divine Sect, the body refining Grand Master's ultimate study 8 Flood Dragons River overturning skill. 1 Jiao represents 1 surge of true intent. If I can bring forth 8 Jiaos at once, I can rival a master of divine gang. Li Qingshan's foot lightly touched the ground, sliding and dragging, his hands curling inward like dragon claws, his spine arching as he bent down low. Roar! Li Che felt what was coming at him like an evil Jiao in the river, staring at him with rage-filled eyes. It was as though his blood might freeze, that if he made any sudden movements, it would pounce in an instant, tearing him apart with its sharp teeth, spilling his blood into the great river. Li Che's hairs stood on end, the Dragon Elephant Vajra Dao fruit was almost automatically activated. With a hum bang, his body swelled up, his qi and blood became hazy, surrounding his body like a mist. 9 major tendons on his back coiled like angry dragons, muscles winding like serpentine dragons. However, Li Che did not fully activate the Dragon Elephant Vajra Dao fruit into the angry Vajra state, it was merely a slight stimulus that caused his body to swell. Li Qingshan also converged his qi and blood, returning to his stooped appearance, taking a squinted glance at the inflated body of Li Che. Good lad, you've hidden your strength well. This intensity of qi and blood, you must have reached the mysterious vein, haven't you? Not bad at all, since that's the case. In Li Qingshan's mind, Li Che's qi and blood cultivation should still be at the initial stage of channel opening, just starting to form qi channels. How long had it been, and now he's stepped into the mysterious vein realm. Li Qingshan took out a booklet from his Qunkan jade and handed it to Li Che. This is the ultimate study of the Golden Light sub-sect of the Qian Yuan Divine Sect, 8 Flood Dragons River overturning skill, which I will pass on to you now that you have joined Zhenglei Peak. Li Che also retracted his qi and blood, his body returning to normal, and upon hearing this, he was surprised, taking it respectfully. Thank you, Senior, for bestowing this technique. Li Qingshan was one of the few who knew his true strength, but he didn't know everything. Putting aside his divine cultivation, even just his qi and blood cultivation was inaccurately known. Now that he saw Li Che had mysterious vein cultivation, he gifted an ultimate study, indeed showing great appreciation for him and beginning to prepare him for a leap towards Grand Master. Is this where you practice divine observation? Li Che put away the ultimate study and turned the conversation back to the thunder exorcism statue. Li Qingshan shook his robe, nodding, "That's right, I do not intend to cultivate a void aspect, I plan to directly step into the divine phase realm in one go." Divine observation is an extremely important step from divine base perfection to stepping into the divine phase realm. The void aspect is just a transition, and the step of the void aspect can actually be directly bypassed. Only those who lack self-confidence, the mediocre ones, cultivate a void aspect. Li Qingshan led Li Che to the simple wooden house located not far beside the Guanshen temple, about 100 meters away, and they sat down inside. The wooden house was very simple, with one bed, one table, and 2 chairs, nothing more. Li Qingshan took out a charcoal stove and a packet of tea leaves from his Qunkan jade, boiled water with his qi and blood, sprinkled in the tea leaves, and then took out the teaware. After making the tea, he pushed a cup of green tea towards Li Che with 2 fingers pinched together. "I have been practicing divine observation for 2.5 years, my inner scenery divine foundation has long since metamorphosed into a divine shape, I am only one step away from merging my God's intent with it and leaping directly over the void aspect to achieve divine phase perfection," Li Qingshan said boastfully after drinking a sip of tea and exhaling hot air. Li Che's eyebrows twitched, to directly leap over the void aspect and step into the divine phase? Only the mediocre cultivate a void aspect. Chapter 225. Such an assertion is truly arrogant and confident. But Li Che didn't feel that way, as the condensing of the void aspect was about subtlety and gradual progression. If one could smoothly transition to the divine minister, why choose to take the huge risk of making a drastic leap? The only pity is that I couldn't break through to the great master level in the qi and blood martial path. Otherwise, with the physical strength of a master of divine gang, achieving the 6 ministries godly aspect would have been almost certain, and I wouldn't have been limited to observing only the 7 Yuan divine image. The great master realm is so difficult, Li Qingshan sighed, a trace of regret flickering in his eyes. Li Qingshan, squinting, said to Li Che, "You started your training late, taking up martial arts at the age of 19. Although you've progressed rapidly, the great master realm may be difficult to reach. It's quite a pity. But no matter, you have a daughter blessed with divine talent. Had you started your martial arts training at the age of 3, like XIXI, with your martial arts talent, you could have aspired to the great master level before 50. XIXI is a divine child, she could well aspire to the great master level before the age of 25. Li Che was unconcerned, smiling, "Though I started late, as long as I stay humble and train steadily, who knows, maybe I'll just break through to the great master level while practicing." Li Qingshan was speechless and laughed, "What do you think becoming a great master is? Just training and suddenly breaking through to great master? You really have big dreams, kid. How many Grandmaster warriors started at the Grandmaster level at 20 and trained until death without ever breaking through to the Great Master level?" Li Qingshan sighed. Great Master requires a kind of insight, understanding the true intent of the heavens and earth, and grasping the essence of one's own martial path in order to make a breakthrough. Achieving divine minister may be easy, but great masters are rare to find. Li Qingshan poured a cup of tea for Li Che. After all, the divine minister's cultivation comes with a temple god for you to observe, its form before your eyes, and the path in your vision. You sketch and simulate it, sculpting the divine form within your inner scenery, and activating God's intent is all it takes. But the path of the great master lies in the vast world, requiring the understanding of the elusive true intent of the heavens and earth. Indeed, the difficulty is higher. Who can be certain of what the future holds? Elder, is that a temple god? Li Che narrowed his eyes and asked. Although he already had an answer in his mind, his 1,000 analyzing hands caught the overflow of divinity from the statue and analyzed that it was a 7-element divine wood carving. He still wanted to ask. You thought wrong, hey. Li Qingshan sipped his tea, a smug expression returning to his face. Of course, it's not a temple god. I would love to move a temple god statue back home to use for divine observation. That would greatly speed up my breakthrough to divine minister. This is a divine wood carving, and I paid a hefty price to commission a master from Divine Carving Ridge to carve it. Your talent is not shallow in the way of divine carvings. In a few days, I'll take you to meet that old senior. If he takes a liking to you and teaches you his art, you won't have to worry about wealth in the future. At the very least, if you can carve and provide high-rank divine sculptures that XIXI needs for her cultivation, you could save a lot of resources. Upon hearing this, Li Che's expression grew solemn. XIXI's cultivation. Does it consume a lot of divine wood carvings? Drinking his tea, Li Qingshan smiled and said, of course it consumes a lot. XIXI has exceptional talent. The sect master wouldn't possibly provide her with low-rank divine methods like those of 10 cities, 9 luminaries, or 8 extremes for her cultivation. The higher the rank of the divine method, the more divinity it requires. Drawing divinity from mere lingering essence in the world is simply insufficient. Siphoning from divine wood carvings is, of course, the fastest method. And for high-rank divine methods, the best matched divine wood carvings are also high rank, the higher compatibility of divinity. And those wood carvers from Divine Carving Ridge. They quote some exorbitant prices. Even if XIXI is the true successor of the sect master, they won't offer any discounts. Li Qingshan shook his head, shuddering at the thought of the resources spent on this 7 yuan divine wood carving. Li Che took a deep breath and solemnly noted this matter. It was of utmost importance, as it concerned XIXI's future cultivation. Divine Carving Ridge, it seems I need to find an opportunity to make my way in. By producing and providing for ourselves, XIXI's resources would be taken care of. As a loving father, working hard to earn resources for his daughter's cultivation shouldn't be a problem, right? All right, let's talk business, Li Qingshan said, putting down his teacup and waving his hand. Suddenly, a powerful divinity enveloped the surroundings. Have you compiled the list? Li Qingshan narrowed his eyes. The lucrative deal had yet to commence, with the only thing missing being Li Che's part of the list. Li Che didn't beat around the bush and took out a small booklet from his Qunkan space, handing it to Li Qingshan. On the day of the sect's entrance examination, I scrutinized the corpse curse mark of the strong figures present and came up with this list. Li Che's expression grew slightly stern. Li Qingshan opened the booklet eagerly, his eyes scanning rapidly, and his pupils contracted involuntarily. Is this verified? Closing the list booklet, he looked intently at Li Che. Even though Li Qingshan was prepared, when Li Che presented the list, its impact still made him tremble. These people, how dare they? It is verified, but my methods can only detect those who chose the 8 extremes corpse curse seal and below. If they received a higher ranked corpse curse, I wouldn't be able to detect it, Li Che exhaled and said earnestly, taking full responsibility for his words. Chess Saint Deo fruit, with the heaven and earth chessboard covering and detecting it, Li Che was extremely confident about its accuracy. Li Che's confidence was felt by Li Qingshan, making the situation all the more serious. Of course, he believed Li Che would not bring a randomly generated list to deceive him. Not only was Li Che not that kind of person, but if it turned out later that the targets did not have the corpse curse mark, Li Che would lose his trust in him. Chapter 226. 5 Great Clans, 5 Great Sects, the Divine Guard Army, the Temple Control Bureau, all have seal grantaires. Almost the entire Golden Light Prefecture city's powerful forces were infiltrated by the Corpse God cult. Is the infiltration power of the Corpse God cult really so terrifying? These people have reached such high positions and enjoy endless glory, wealth, and power, why would they still make such a choice? It is incomprehensible, totally incomprehensible. Li Qingshan closed his eyes, even he could not calm his heart at this moment. He needed to cool down. After a moment, Li Qingshan abruptly opened his eyes and looked at Li Che. On the day of the sect entrance examination, the direction of the divine sect, did you investigate it? Li Qingshan's voice was somewhat hoarse. Li Che shook his head, I did not. Because, Sect Master. Sect Master Nan Luo's divine sense had nearly transformed into a primordial spirit, becoming extremely sensitive. That day, when Li Che stimulated the corpse curse mark to detect with the heaven and earth chessboard, he was sensed before getting close. To be cautious, Li Che did not probe further and dispersed the detection in that area. Li Che looked at Li Qingshan, his eyes slightly tightening, are you suspecting the divine sect? Do you think that even the divine sect has been corrupted by the corpse god cult? This matter had become quite grave. Could it affect XIXI's safety? Li Qingshan narrowed his eyes, his fingers lightly tapping on the desk. I am just speculating, cannot guarantee there isn't any. Anyway, I can be sure that among the high levels of the Golden Light City Lord Mansion, there are definitely those bewitched by the corpse god cult. The 3 divine might generals of the Golden Light City Lord Mansion's Divine Guard Army, the 3 governors of the Temple Control Bureau, the 2 deputy inspectors from the Kintian Observatory, the Divine Sect's 4 great elders. Among them, there must be those who have turned to the corpse god cult. Li Qingshan was very sure, it was evident he had received a harsh lesson, having been deceived before. However, the roster provided by Li Che did not include these people. Li Qingshan showed a slight disappointment, but he was confident in his conjecture. He stared at the names on the roster, his fingers gently gliding over them. Let's leave those aside for now, start with the 5 great clans. Bull Demon, you choose a target. Li Qingshan narrowed his eyes. Upon hearing this, Li Che picked up the teacup and gently sipped. Initially, Li Che wanted to choose the Qin family, as the pressure from them when he first arrived at the Mansion City was too great. Moreover, he had killed Qin Yuking from the Qin family, and bore not a small grudge against them. However, considering the Qin family had taken the initiative to send gifts and apologize a couple of days ago, Li Che thought it might be okay to switch targets. His gaze fell on the roster, and upon seeing the name Shangguan Zhengheng, he remembered the scene when the latter burst with energy, attempting to oppress XIXI. Li Che narrowed his eyes, his finger tapping lightly. Then let's pick the Shangguan family then. The gentle breeze flowed, and in the blink of an eye, several days had passed. Within the small courtyard of the workshop, the morning breeze was slightly cool, and within the small courtyard, wood shavings flew about tumultuously, pulled by an unseen force, rubbing against the ground with a rustling sound. Inside the courtyard, his qi and blood were like a furnace, with his sweat vapor forming a rosy glow. Amidst the surging misty air, Li Che was bare to the waist, revealing his robust muscles with exquisitely defined lines, sculpting a perfect body. Pores all over his body opened wide as he slowly pushed his fists across. The movements were very slow, yet the force behind them was immense and heavy, making him appear like a Buddha, clad in a dazzling golden garment. Between the rising and falling of his muscle lines, an explosive force could be felt, and as they stretched and contracted, it was like an angered dragon softly chanting and roaring. Hu! Inhale! With each inhale and exhale, Li Che's breath was long and intermittent, with shifting and interwoven changes, enveloped in golden light, as if his robe was fluttering in flight. With one step, the entire courtyard shook, all the floating wood shavings were pressed down by the force, sticking close to the ground as if an invisible wave of qi was pressing down upon them. Li Che ended the sequence, and a multitude of hot air burst from his pores, sounding like the whistle of a boiling kettle. Suddenly opening his eyes, his pupils shone brilliantly like shooting stars trailing light, momentarily spanning the night sky. Hu made Raya gold armor, finally entering the transformation realm. The next moment, Li Che's aura transformed dramatically, his muscles and bones chanting in unison as he pushed and slapped with fists and palms, the air rolling like waves. There were sounds of a dragon's chant and an elephant's bellowing shattering the air. The ultimate skill Dragon Elephant True Force. With the transformation of the qi and blood in Li Che's divine vein, he seemed to morph into a fearsome beast. Bang! The air in the courtyard exploded with a thunderous boom, and the violently shooting airflow gradually calmed down after a long while. The 4 variations of the divine vein. Mate Raya gold armor, Cloud Sparrowhawk treading on clouds, White Tiger chaotic wind fist, 8 consecutive bone-breaking spears. He had cultivated these 4 martial arts to the transformation realm, integrating them into the qi and blood of his divine vein to achieve a transformation of qi and blood. With the 4 transformations of the divine vein, Li Che felt a tremendous increase in his physical strength, far surpassing himself when he first entered the initial transformation of the divine vein. If I reach the 9 transformations of the divine vein, how powerful would that be? Paired with the recently learned ultimate skill Dragon Elephant True Force, even if I encounter a novice grandmaster, could I not kill them even without activating the Dragon Elephant Vajra boost? Li Che's muscles and bones quivered as his aura climbed steadily, exhaling a breath like rolling thunder. There are 5 more qi and blood transformations, and 5 martial arts that are still at the master level, not yet reaching the transformation realm, but it's close. 9 transformations of the divine vein qi and blood, supplemented by ultimate skills, to break through the grandmaster bottleneck. Within 1 year, it should be achievable. Then, it would be time to start collecting ultimate skills to perfect the Dragon Elephant True Force, making it possible to strive for the Great Master realm. Li Che shook his head. The Great Grand Master was too far away for him. Even with the help of the Dao fruit, it was not possible for him to reach that level in a short time. My divine cultivation es from Fei Lei divine constable Zhou Ruiguan's chaotic joyful bewilderment divine divinity, and after drawing from the 10 cities divine crystal to refine and absorb, I have reached cultivation as river-like. It's time to start building my divine foundation. Chapter 227. The 7 emotions have forged my 4 wheels of godly foundation, and with the success of chaotic joyful bewilderment divine, I have constructed the 5 wheels. With the overbearing presence of the 5 wheels unleashed, that shouldn't be weaker than the void aspect, right? Li Che's eyes sparkled with uncertainty, not having truly tested his strength in actual combat yet. There was no need to rush, opportunities would present themselves in time. Checking the sky, Li Che chose not to practice any further. He brought his fingers together and gently traced a line through the empty air. Out of thin air, he retrieved a bamboo hat, the cute bull mask, and a black robe. Donning the hat, draping the robe over his shoulders, and covering his face with the cute bull mask, his body instantly swelled in size. The entire demeanor of Li Che underwent a dramatic transformation. Recklessness, madness, rampant fury, no taboo unchallenged. A wild wind swept through as his presence retracted. With a mere tap from the bull demon's toes, he vanished without a trace. Golden Light Peak. Night fell, and the spring chill atop the mountain was as biting as the quiet of early winter. Draped in an apricot-colored long dress, Sang Wanyan's figure was graceful as she led Xixi by the hand. The large and the small strolled along the mountain path, moving through the mist halfway up Golden Light Peak as if riding the clouds. The two followed the stone slab road, journeying up the mountain all the while. Sang Wanyan couldn't help but giggle from time to time at Xixi's childish but amusing words, her whole being appearing much brighter and sunnier. Sister Yin Yin, are we going all the way up to the tip-top of the mountain? Xixi looked up, her plump little face reddening slightly in the biting mountain breeze, her long lashes trembling, her large eyes brimming with life. Yes, little one. You've been on Golden Light Peak for 7 days now, and your master plans to bestow upon you the teachings, to transmit to you how to nurture nature, and the methods of divine foundation and divine minister. Sang Wanyan's voice, gentle as water, was very pleasant to hear. Xixi nodded and raised her little fists. Daddy has taught me the method of nurturing nature, and I'm very good at it. Daddy said that if I want to become Emperor Xixi, I need to be super awesome at both nurturing nature and martial arts. Sang Wanyan laughed and replied, your father is absolutely right. The two of them chatted as they walked along the mountain path. In no time at all, they arrived at the mountaintop of Golden Light Peak, where a temple crowned with glazed tiles and decorated with dragons and raised eaves stood. As soon as Xixi reached the summit, she felt an immense oppression in her chest, her little face instantly showing a look of fear. She quickly clutched Sang Wanyan's tender hand. Sister Yin Yin, where is this? Sang Wanyan quickly knelt down to ease Xixi's discomfort with her divinity. Xixi quickly recovered, a trace of curiosity appearing in her eyes. This is the Qi Yuan mysterious temple suppressed by our Golden Light Peak. Your master often cultivates within it. There's no need to be afraid, little one. The temple god of this mysterious temple has long been vanquished by the Qian Yuan ancestor master, and it remains dormant, free from any eerie disturbances. Sang Wanyan picked up Xixi to comfort her. She was very fond of Xixi and naturally didn't want her to be frightened or startled. Xixi, however, was not afraid and her big eyes were filled with curiosity. Footsteps sounded from within the hall. Xixi's third senior brother, Lu Yangyuan, emerged, his features enchantingly beautiful, prompting her to take a few extra glances. Seeing Xixi, a smile appeared on Lu Yangyuan's face as he quickened his pace. Xixi has come? The master has called for you to enter. Third senior brother. Xixi called out sweetly. Lu Yangyuan felt his heart nearly melt at the sound. Leading Xixi by the hand, they stepped into the great hall. Upon entering, Xixi's attention was instantly drawn to a wood carving on the high platform. In place of the expected temple god statue on the altar stood a pagoda instead. The treasure pagoda was exquisite, with 7 tiers, showing a tarnished gold color, its luster dim, with many places worn and damaged, its brackets and pillars radiating a formidable, malevolent aura. Beneath the temple god, there was a meditation cushion. Peacefully seated above the cushion, the master of the Leaving Fire sect wore his robe and held a treasure pagoda gesture, in serene meditation. This is the relic Ruyi Golden Pagoda, the occupation of this mysterious temple's temple god, containing treasures within. Each true successor of a sect leader may worship the pagoda, drawing down its light, receiving teachings from the pagoda, and divine secret techniques to even divine weapons. The more light one can summon, the more generous the pagoda's gifts. Sangwanyan, crouching gracefully, softly explained to Xixi. As if sensing their whispers, Nan Luo opened his eyes, turned his head, his gaze filled with warmth. Sangwanyan and Lu Yangyuan stopped in their tracks, respectfully making their salutations. The remaining journey was for Xixi to walk on her own. Xixi took small steps along, roughly 100 in total, coming to the center of the Great Hall. Nan Luo stepped forward, appearing by Xixi's side. He raised his hand, bent his body, and tapped Xixi's forehead. In that moment, a flame godly pattern appeared on Xixi's brow. Xixi, you've been part of my golden light peak for 7 days. Today, as your teacher, I shall awaken the temple god and transmit to you the divine cultivation method of the sect leader's true teachings. Chapter 228. The night wind howled. Atop Golden Light Peak, the cold was biting, and the clouds and mist wrapped around endlessly like strips. Inside the shrine's grand hall, after Nan Li Huo placed a godly pattern on Xixi's forehead, he stood up and floated away, rolling up his sleeves to form a seal formula. A profound, echoing sound resonated continuously throughout the entire hall. Xixi, small and delicate, sat on the meditation cushion, suddenly feeling the godly pattern on her brow grow hot, as if flames were burning. She was curious and resisted the urge to touch it with her hand. You possess divinity, as your master, I will draw the treasure pagoda's light to shine upon you, Xixi. Relax, and after the pagoda's light shines on you, the teachings will be imparted to you. Every disciple through the ages has received gifts from the temple god, and what they receive depends on their opportunities, talents, and compatibility. Close your eyes. Nan Li Huo said. Immediately, Xixi obediently closed her eyes, wondering curiously what good things the pagoda would bring her. Hopefully, something both fun and delicious. Suddenly, a warm radiance enveloped Xixi, shining upon her. At the altar above, the pagoda temple god began to quiver slightly, and countless divinity emerged from within the pagoda, then floated in midair, forming a pure and brilliant tower as if crafted from gold. The pagoda spun, casting down its brilliance. It was like dense clouds being torn apart, and glorious post-rain sunlight breaking through the darkness, falling onto the human world, gathering into a beam shining upon Xixi. With her eyes closed, Xixi only felt warmth. So comfortable it made Xixi feel as if she had returned to her father's embrace. Time trickled by. Before she knew it, 2 incense sticks of time had passed. Bathed in golden light, Xixi gradually overcame the novelty and even began to yawn. The warmth and the quiet surroundings. Xixi couldn't help but feel sleepy. Inside the grand hall, Nan Li Huo furrowed his brows. Sangwanyan and Lu Yangyuan also showed slight changes in expression. Why is it taking so long? The two found it odd as they had both experienced the transmission of teachings through the pagoda, knowing well the steps involved. Back then, both of them had bathed in the golden light of the treasure pagoda for no more than half an incense stick of time and had completed the transmission, obtaining the method of the godly statue and divine weapons. Nan Li Huo's gaze sharpened, and amid the graveness, there was a trace of excitement and anticipation. Suddenly, the golden treasure pagoda quivered slightly, as if an ancient bell had been struck. In an instant, the divinity within the entire divine temple seemed to awaken. It was as though an ancient existence slowly opened its eyes, casting down its gaze. Innate divinity, pure and flawless. Eligible to enter the 7 treasures relic Ruyi Golden Tower. It was as if an ancient deity blinked, lips parting slightly, chanting divine sounds. Boom! The next moment, the golden light shining on Xixi suddenly changed, bursting forth with an immense suction force. The dozing Xixi abruptly woke up to find her body floating upward. She immediately panicked, swinging her arms and legs about. Yin Yin elder sister, sect master, save me! Sangwanyan, full of anxiety, erupted with divinity, ready to rush forward. However, Nan Li Huo's eyes sparkled, and with a slight flick of his finger, he immobilized Sangwonyan. Do not act rashly, XIXI is not in danger. This is the activation of the god Li Ke within the Golden Treasure Pagoda. Those without pure divinity are not allowed entry. This is a great opportunity for XIXI. The chilly night wind. Li Che had no knowledge of what transpired atop Golden Light Peak. He had left many divine chess pieces on XIXI, ensuring that if XIXI faced any danger, he would be aware of it immediately. Currently, having received no feedback meant that XIXI was safe, and so Li Che leisurely attended to his own matters. Li Che concealed his presence, donned a coolie hat and the cute bull mask, and silently left the workshop courtyard. Merging into the night, he moved along the walls, crossing the long street. According to the address given by Li Qingshan, Li Che floated on, stepping onto the cloud Yao ladder cloud vertical of the transformation realm, making his movement as smooth as stepping on flowing clouds and breeze. His speed was incredibly fast yet utterly silent, like a soaring hawk sweeping across the sky. A prearranged small courtyard. Li Che alighted like a startled swan, leaping over the high wall and landing in the courtyard. Just as he landed, his entire body hair stood on end, and with a hum sound, his body under the black robe seemed to swell up for a moment, as countless dragon-like tendons and bones roared furiously. An extremely powerful surge of blood energy lingered in the air. With a grasp of his hand, the Lu blood shock spear was already in his grasp, exuding a bizarrely eerie scent of blood. In the chess Saint Dao fruit, only 5 temple god chess pieces remained, and one being targeted allowed immediate activation of the ascending stance, exploding the temple god chess pieces and securing time to escape with the thunder chess piece. Li Che was so tense. Because within the courtyard, there resided a divine symbol cultivator. It was a youth wearing a green half-peacock mask, sitting at a stone table, pinching a teacup, sipping tea, with a small stone furnace burning boiling water on the table. Impressive boldness, but, now that you've come, if I don't let you leave, how can you possibly leave? A soft chuckle came from the masked youth. Although Li Che was on alert, he relaxed a bit, recognizing them as allies. They must be one of us. Unexpectedly, Li Qingshan's associate turned out to be a divine symbol cultivator. A true god phase, not a void aspect. A thought crossed Li Che's mind, and the chess Saint Dao fruit throbbed slightly, immediately analyzing the aura of the person. Qin Tianjian Vice Supervisor. Lin Qiu. Chapter 229. That time, during the Divine Sex Membership Assessment, almost all top figures from various major powers of Golden Light Prefecture City attended. Almost all breaths had been recorded by Li Che using the Heaven and Earth chessboard. Moreover, having asked Shangguan Qinghong about everyone's identities, he could now confirm someone's identity based solely on his divine perception. Even though Lin Qiu had slightly disguised her divinity aura, the other party didn't seem to care much about the disguise. Why aren't you afraid anymore? Wearing a half-peacock mask, Lin Qiu squinted and asked with a smile. Li Che, wearing a cute bull mask, did not respond. Li Qingshan arrived, stooping slightly, hiding a ramhorn sky-breaking hammer in his sleeves, and wearing a cat face mask, drifting over. Yo, you two have come early. Li Qingshan chuckled. Introduce us, cat face. Lin Qiu said. All right, Peacock, this is Bull Demon, the one who caused chaos in the Qin family. Li Qingshan introduced. Li Che. Cat face, Peacock. They probably know each other's identities. What are they pretending for? These two definitely have some issues. Li Che's, disguise was a real disguise, but these two, it felt like the disguise was just for fun. Especially Li Qingshan, once that ramhorn hammer came out, even his underpants might be recognized. As for Lin Qiu, a divine symbol cultivator, she clearly had no real intention of hiding her identity. Bull Demon, hey. Interesting, very cautious, with a keen perception. Lin Qiu smiled and said, my art of breath concealment, in Golden Light Prefecture City, I dare say I'm second to none. Li Qingshan glanced at the Bull Demon. Lin Qiu, always liked to boast. In Li Qingshan's mind, the Bull Demon's breath concealment secret technique was truly exceptional. You're right, the Bull Demon agreed with Lin Qiu. He, the Bull Demon, never argued, if he did argue, it was to kill. The target, the Shangguan family, the family head Shangguan Zhengheng, the third generation Shangguan Li Long, Shangguan Yun Long, all bearing the corpse curse mark from the corpse god cult. The diviner ancestor can't be touched, wanting to kill a divine minister isn't that easy. Thus, the mission and plan for tonight is to eliminate the three, excluding the Shangguan family's ancestor. The 5 great clans all have recipients of the corpse curse mark, but we can't act swiftly against them all. Striking at one requires careful planning and systematic execution. Shangguan Zhengheng is easy to kill. The man is lascivious, often spending nights in Yunfang boat, so we can directly enter and kill him there. But Lilong and Yunlong are not easy targets. These two generally stay inside the Shangguan family mansion. However, today they returned from Sand Scorpion Forest, making it the best opportunity to act. Li Qingshan spoke softly, with his finger wet with tea water, gently sketching on the stone table. In the end, he flicked off the water stains. As long as we force Lilong and Yunlong to release the corpse curse technique, that will solidify their collusion with the corpse god cult, and the Shangguan family's diviner ancestor will have no choice but to grit his teeth and swallow it. Of course, the premise is that your detection and judgment, Bull Demon, is correct, and Shangguan Lilong and Yunlong indeed bear the corpse curse mark. Lin Qiu, wearing a peacock mask, looked towards the Bull Demon indifferently. This mission involved a divine minister, a divine base perfection capable of crushing illusory phases, and a Bull Demon capable of slaughtering a weakened illusory phase. The divine minister was in command, Li Qingshan to kill, and the Bull Demon to make judgments. The three had their roles clearly defined. Yet, Lin Qiu had doubts about the Bull Demon's analytical abilities, pondering, what means did the Bull Demon use to detect the other's corpse curse mark? Did the Bull Demon also bear a corpse curse mark? Although the Bull Demon was someone Li Qingshan brought, Lin Qiu still harbored doubts. However, the Bull Demon's track record was verifiable. Those disciples of the corpse god cult in the fishing gang who bore the corpse curse mark had been caught and killed by the Bull Demon. It caused the people of the fishing gang to panic, eventually leading to a major power in Mansion City declining and being divided among the other major powers. This sufficiently demonstrated that the Bull Demon's capabilities were indeed notable. Li Qingshan glanced at Li Che and then chuckled, "Peacock, trust me this time." Upon hearing this, Lin Qiu closed his eyes again and ceased speaking. He and Li Qingshan were from the same era, though he had not taken the same path as Li Qingshan, stepping directly into divine ministership, but had completed the transitions and consolidations of illusory and divine phases much earlier. However, he had once rampaged through the martial world with Li Qingshan, living through friendship and feuds. The necessary trust was still there. He did not trust the Bull Demon but would not mistrust Li Qingshan. The atmosphere seemed to stagnate somewhat. "May I boldly ask how the spoils of war are to be divided after the killing?" The Bull Demon's somber voice broke the silence. This was very important. It was better to settle the financial matters first to ensure a smooth and steady transition and cooperation. Lin Qiu was startled. "Spoils of war?" Then he sneered softly and said indifferently, "Spoils of war aren't important to me, but I can't put in effort for nothing, so let's share them equally." Li Qingshan spread his hands, "Since I called you here to stir up trouble, it wouldn't be right for me to take a larger share. Let's split it evenly." Shangguan Zhengheng, as the family head of the Shangguan family, surely possessed valuable items, and as for Shangguan Lilong and Yunlong, being illusory phase cultivators, their wealth wouldn't be meager either. For Lin Qiu, such gains meant little, but for Li Qingshan, they were considered substantial. Equal distribution then? Li Che's mind stirred. "There's a friend of mine over here, with first-rate archery skills. If a special situation arises, he can assist with a shot. If he does assist, he shall take a share of the spoils, otherwise, he won't. How about it?" Li Che looked towards Li Qingshan. Li Qingshan's eyebrows under the cat face mask slightly lifted. "Your friend?" Li Che nodded firmly, "Yes. First-rate archery, potentially threatening to an illusory phase cultivator, can harm the opponent." Chapter 230. Upon hearing the words, the peacock mask could barely conceal the brightness in Lin Qiu's eyes. "So, he is the mysterious divine archer who shot and killed Qin Yuking of the Qin family." The Bull Demon nodded. Li Qingshan tapped the stone table with his fingers. "If that's the case, your friend will be our last resort, to prevent any accidents. By the way, Bull Demon, your friend, what's his name?" The Bull Demon pressed down on his bamboo hat. "He is called Horseface. Shangguan Zhengheng, a man of insatiable lust, abducting wives and daughters, acts tyrannically and brutally. Having abducted hundreds of wives, hidden in a private residence, where every day from the residents dead women are carried out. Suspected of cultivating the 6 desires divinity of the corpse god cult. In Lin Qiu's hand was a sheet of paper, detailing all of Shangguan Zhenggen's crimes. The evils committed by Shangguan Zhengheng over the years are indeed numerous. The man is practically a walking pile driver. Lin Qiu's eyes were cold and merciless, void of emotion. Shangguan Qinghong was his disciple, Shangguan Zhengheng was Shangguan Qinghong's biological father, but he had no intention of holding back. Because Shangguan Qinghong had also been plotting to assassinate her own father all along. Unfortunately, Shangguan Qinghong's cultivation was not very high. He passed the list of crimes to the bull demon. The bull demon glanced at it briefly, the multitude of Shangguan Zhenggen's crimes reflected beneath the cute bull mask. Closing his eyes, he then passed the paper to Li Qingshan. Upon opening his eyes again, the bull demon's gaze was filled with chilling indifference, devoid of any emotion. He deserves to die. An aggressive emotion emanated from the bull demon, prompting Lin Qiu to give him an extra glance. Thinking of the bull demon's personality that abhors evil, Lin Qiu chuckled. If it wasn't for his detestation of evil, the bull demon wouldn't have single-handedly caught and ferociously killed the corpse god cultists within the fishing gang. Li Qingshan didn't even look at the paper, flicking the list of crimes back into Lin Qiu's hand. What's the use of asking the Temple Control Bureau for a list of crimes? Just kill him. Under the threat of life and death, if he's cultivated the corpse curse technique, he definitely won't be able to resist using it to increase his chances of survival. Won't that be the proof we need then? Moreover, I trust the bull demon, this lad, being able to hunt down those cultists marked with the corpse curse mark in the fishing gang, and never once making a mistake, he naturally won't be wrong. I trust him. Take action. As soon as the words were spoken, the 3 figures in the courtyard instantly shot away and disappeared, each using their breath concealment techniques, silently blending into the darkness. Li Che activated the slumbering dragon elephant within the dragon elephant Vajra, hiding his breath to the extreme, walking completely in the dark, undetectable by the senses or consciousness. Lin Qiu, hey! Can't sense it anymore. Gone. The bull demon disappeared. Although Lin Qiu was a divine symbol cultivator, at this moment, his heart couldn't help but be filled with shock. He hadn't expected the bull demon's breath concealment to be so powerful, at least, his breath-concealing charm seemed somewhat inferior. Luckily, we have Li Qingshan's lantern-like breath concealment technique as a backup. Lin Qiu chuckled softly. You also know my breath concealment is just backup, hurry up, give me a breath-concealing charm. Li Qingshan lamented in a whisper. Yunfang boat. As the most extravagant den in Mansion City, for Shangguan Zhengheng, being the family head of the Shangguan family, one of the 5 great clans, the silver coins that could be spent in one night at Yunfang boat meant nothing to him. In the luxurious floating private room not far from the flowing waters of Nine Dragons River, the moonlight shattered, spreading far and wide, glittering on the waves. He coaxed the woman busying below him and lazily leaned back in the soft, furry chair. The light in his eyes flashed subtly, and a ruthless glint surfaced. Li Che. That country bumpkin who hit the jackpot. To have such a divine child born, truly enviable. Qinglei practically had the divine sect true inheritance in the bag, only for it to be messed up by a 3-year-old brat. Closing his eyes, Shangguan Zhengheng exhaled deeply. It's illogical, how could Li Che, that country bumpkin, sire such a divine child? A mere blood exchange warrior, a trash who cultivates nurturing nature, how did he sire a divine child? It must be the mother's quality, yes. Shangguan Zhenggen's gaze turned deep as he thought of Li Che's wife. With Li Che's ordinary talent, the birth of a divine child must largely be credited to the mother. It seems. I must find an opportunity. Stretching leisurely, he draped himself in a luxuriant thin garment. Though he was over 100 years old, he still looked quite young. Walking over to the window, the night breeze from the river brought a refreshing coolness. Shangguan Zhengheng stood with his hands behind his back, his hair and beard fluttering, his eyes sparkling with luminosity. Soon, he would be one of those at the topmost layer of Golden Light Prefecture. Currently, he was only at the illusory phase realm, with divine ministers above him. If he could achieve true divine minister status, he would truly be able to do as he wished. Oftentimes, rules are made for the weak, and Shangguan Zhengheng felt too constrained by them. Even as the head of the Shangguan family, his power was stymied by his insufficiency. With these thoughts in mind, suddenly, a sense of alarm surfaced in Shang Guanzhengen's heart. He saw that among the many flower boats on the tributary of the Nine Dragons River, a small boat gently rocked. About 100 yards away, he saw a slender, graceful figure on that solitary boat suddenly stand up and raise a divine crossbow. On the rooftop, Li Che, wearing the bull demon mask, merged with the darkness, his eyes growing colder and devoid of any emotional fluctuation. The heaven and earth chessboard expanded. He had already locked on to Shang Guanzhengen's position. He came tonight with the determination to kill Shang Guanzhengheng, who had intimidated XIXI under the stage during the competition. He had committed that grudge to memory. And now, he had another reason to ensure Shang Guanzhengen's death. Chapter 231. This person actually dares to covet Yaya. Whoever dares to touch my Li Che's family must die. He was waiting for Lin Qiu and Li Qingshan to make their move. As for him, he would follow up with a fatal blow, ensuring that Shang Guanzhengheng would be thoroughly killed. When it comes to killing, the bull demon is serious. However, Li Che didn't wait for Lin Qiu and Li Qingshan to act. Lin Qiu and Li Qingshan, hidden in the shadows, also hesitated. Beneath their masks, their eyes were deep and tranquil. Looking up, they saw the solitary boat swaying on the riverside and the divine crossbow set up on it, aimed at Shang Guanzhengheng. An immense killing intent and hatred erupted from the boat. As it turned out, they were not the only ones who wanted to kill Shang Guanzhengheng. Others were planning an assassination as well. Li Che sensed the familiar aura emanating within the spreading heaven and earth chessboard, his expression becoming slightly strange. This aura. Lin Qiu's eyes beneath the peacock mask suddenly sharpened, as she sighed softly, this girl. The divine crossbow, crafted from spiritual wood and wrapped with divine talismans, was an extremely lethal divine talisman crossbow. Placed among the divine guard army, the divine crossbow was categorized as a massive killer weapon, specifically used to shoot grandmaster warriors. But now, with divine talismans further wrapped around the divine crossbow and special crossbow arrows being used, the power of the divine crossbow had been elevated by several levels, transforming it into a divine talisman crossbow. The graceful figure, wearing a squirrel mask with dark eyes beneath, full of hatred, glared at Shang Guanzhengheng standing at the window of the Yunfang boat's private room. You dog! Die! A low growl filled with hatred came from beneath the mask. Fingers spread, divinity erupted, violently slapped onto the divine crossbow, as if awakening a ferocious dragon in the river. In an instant, the divine crossbow on the boat let out a sky-shattering, earth-shattering crack. Screech! The sound wave burst. The crossbow arrow roared, cutting through the airflow, violently bursting out in a whirlwind. The calm river surface suddenly raised waves, as if split in the center by the divine crossbow arrow, flinging white froth and water splashes to both sides. Divine talismans burned, divinity surged, and the speed of the crossbow arrow increased ever faster. In the sky, it left behind 100 zhang long trail of qi, as if it split the river in half. Almost in an instant, it approached 3 feet in front of Shang Guanzhengheng. The surging divinity of the divine talismans continuously bolstered the eruption and penetration power of the divine crossbow. This was a premeditated assassination. Add latest chapters at freeognovlo only. Yet, Shang Guanzhengen's eyes sharpened, and his body standing at the pavilion window suddenly flickered with a copper hue. Assassination? Do you think why I dared to venture out alone at night? Vast qi and blood erupted from his body, his fingers like hooks tearing through the chilly wind, ferociously slapping forward. Clang! The terrifying sound wave exploded, as if an ancient bell had been struck with force. The divine crossbow, augmented by divine talismans, would really have a chance to pierce through the body of an ordinary illusory phase cultivator, inflicting heavy damage. But then, a flash of corpse key dark mark passed across Shang Guanzhengen's brow. With one step, he used his arms, built like steel-coiled dragon muscles, to fiercely grasp the dragon-like crossbow arrow. The force of the erupting divine talismans was completely suppressed by the void aspect's might on his body. The entire pavilion burst apart in several places, and under the impact of the raging qi, wood splinters flew and stones shot out. Shang Guanzhengen's hair whipped about, his eyes full of malicious sneers and rage. A woman. Looking at the boat, the graceful figure beneath the squirrel mask, Shang Guanzhengheng gave a greedy howl. Boom! Pushing off from his stance, grasping the divine talisman burnt, energy-spent crossbow arrow like a spear, his body gleamed with a copper color as he ferociously charged forward, creating pillars of water on the river, violently leaping hundreds of jong across the great river, heading towards the boat. To him, the river's surface was as if it were flat ground. On the boat, the female assassin in the squirrel mask was clearly taken aback. Cursed copper corpse! Without any hesitation, the female assassin slapped the edge of the boat, triggering the divine talismans to make the boat shoot out like a speedboat with an explosive burst of water. The divine talisman crossbow couldn't kill Shangguan Zhengheng. She had to find another opportunity. Trying to escape. Shangguan Zhenghen's eyes glittered with red light, his coppery body circulated, his muscles roared, and with a clench of his fingers and a twist of his waist, he hurled the spear like crossbow arrow. It shot towards the boat at high speed. However, just after throwing the crossbow arrow, Shangguan Zhenghen's pupils suddenly contracted, he found his wildly dancing hair suddenly falling, unable to rise by the slightest degree. As if the terrifying oppression of a collapsing mountain struck him mightily. High-handed and fierce, striding across the waves, Shangguan Zhengheng suddenly froze in his motion, as if he had become a statue, stiffened upon the river surface. Perfect, he came out on his own. Shangguan Zhengheng felt his inner void aspect congealing as if stuck, unable to move, unable to unleash. That was divine hierarchy's might. Coming from a divine minister. Sweat dripped from Shangguan Zhenghen's forehead. Divine minister. Divine minister. Which divine minister wants to kill me? Chapter 232. Divine likeness. Sweat beads on Shangguan Zhenghen's forehead seemed to freeze, clinging rigidly to his visage. An invisible force emerged between heaven and earth, making the flow of air extremely slow and stagnant. Standing on the surface of the river, Shangguan Zhengheng saw waves rolling, as if he could peer through the surface and sense the undercurrents below. The night wind was piercingly cold as it brushed against his cheeks, causing every inch of blood in his body to freeze. But in Shangguan Zhenghen's eyes, a fierce light soon emerged. Why would a divine symbol cultivator take action? Could it be that his affair had been exposed? Impossible. He had been very discreet in his actions, never using the corpse curse technique in public. Outwardly, he was the suave and debonair family head of the Shangguan family. Behind him was the diviner ancestor, which divine phase realm expert would suddenly strike at him. It made no sense. Nevertheless, Shangguan Zhengheng refused to surrender without a fight. A roar seemed to boil the entire river, the blood in his body turned even colder as if devoid of any temperature, turning completely into the chill of a corpse. All warmth was drained from him, and the copper hue on his flesh became increasingly distinct. Oh! Still struggling. A faint voice wafted from all around, the pressure like a sudden incoming tide, engulfing everything. Shangguan Zhengheng spread his arms, every inch of his muscle trembling, his neck twisted and bent, suddenly raising high as a loud growl exploded from his mouth. He forcefully tore through the suppression brought by the divine symbol cultivator. That divine phase rank pressure that made it impossible for him to breathe. A sinister copper sheen surged from within his flesh, and the death chi that diffused from every inch of skin and muscle was so intense it was nauseating. Facing off against a divine symbol cultivator, Shangguan Zhenghen's eyes were red with blood vessels. A palm-sized spiritual wood carving, full of divinity, suddenly appeared and he crushed it without hesitation. In an instant, overwhelming divinity surged. Want to kill me? It's not that easy. Shangguan Zhengheng sneered coldly. The shattered wood carving exploded, and in a moment countless streams of divinity soared into the sky, accompanied by the howling winds as if inflated by bellows, transforming into a complete divine likeness. A crystal-clear divine likeness appeared above, with an aura of extreme terror erupting in an instant like a raging sun. Lin Qiu's sneering laugh fluttered between heaven and earth. He wasn't surprised that Shangguan Zhengheng didn't hesitate to crush the divine likeness wood carving. A void aspect couldn't surpass the significant rank difference when facing a real divine likeness. If Shangguan Zhengheng dared to challenge him, a divine symbol cultivator, with his barely beginner-level cursed copper corpse, he'd probably get slapped to death. As the head of a noble family, having a divine likeness wood carving, condensed through a great deal of essence by a divine symbol cultivator, was normal for saving his life. After all, noble families were not like the fishing gang. When the deputy of the fishing gang, Lu Jinsong, was killed, he couldn't produce such a divine likeness wood carving. After all, a divine likeness wood carving is an item for preserving life, created by a divine symbol cultivator who spent a year transferring the nature of his divine likeness into the wood, consuming a large amount of essence, chi, and spirit. A divine symbol cultivator could condense at most 3 such items, any more would affect one's own divine likeness. Although the fishing gang's leader was a divine symbol cultivator, how could he possibly condense a divine likeness wood carving for a deputy to whom he had no personal ties? That's why Lu Jinsong didn't have a divine likeness wood carving to save his life back then. Li Qingshan had anticipated this situation and therefore called on Lin Qiu, a divine phase realm cultivator, to bolster the ranks. With the help of his family's diviner ancestor, Shangguan Zhengheng managed to withstand the pressure brought on by Lin Qiu's divine likeness. Though Shangguan Zhengheng felt pained, he was finally free from his bonds. Boom! With a heavy step, the force was like a massive boulder crashing into a lake, creating an earth-shattering surge. Amidst the raging gales, Shangguan Zhenggen's face was stern, his body now a ferocious cursed copper corpse, forcing his way through the heavy waves. End it quickly, no need to dawdle. It'll be troublesome if the old fogies of the Shangguan family come to intervene. The faint voice echoed. With one heavy step, Shangguan Zhenggen's eyes erupted with overwhelming intent to kill. This voice, he now knew who it was. Li Qingshan. It's you. Li Qingshan. Shangguan Zhengheng trembled, water droplets from the river exploding, all of them vaporized by the sheer force of his body. The hazy river mist surged. How dare you! He roared. The roar stopped abruptly the next moment. Because the smoke was torn apart, a figure ripped through the mist, approaching rapidly, his hunched body suddenly straightening, with countless lightning bolts weaving together. A ramhorn hammer slid from his sleeve, tracing a curve. As numerous streaks of lightning interwove, behind Li Qingshan formed the ghostly visage of a god with eagle wings on its back and a fierce, green face. How dare you! How dare you cultivate the corpse art and even achieve the threshold of the cursed copper corpse? Shangguan Zhengheng! How many innocent lives have you taken? Li Qingshan's cat-faced mask shattered in an instant, his old face filled with cold ruthlessness and murderous intent. Anyone associated with the corpse god cult must die. Thud! Shangguan Zhengheng crossed his arms in defense, the ramhorn hammer smashing into his body, which had nearly turned fully into a cursed copper corpse. The sound it produced was like that of an ancient bell exploding. A rippling wave of energy expanded outwards like concentric circles from the impact. His body catapulted forth, and as Shangguan Zhengheng landed heavily on the river's surface, his legs tore through creating white waves. A look of ecstatic glee spread across his face. Chapter 233. The ramhorn sky-breaking hammer, just so. Blocked it. Shangguan Zhenggen's heart was filled with wild joy. Li Qingshan's ramhorn hammer was famously powerful in the Mansion City. It had claimed the lives of many formidable adversaries, and now, he actually managed to block it with his own body. His body could almost be called a cursed copper corpse, only a hair's breadth away from initial success. Although lacking that final step, it seemed not to have a significant impact. Li Qingshan can no longer kill him. Ha 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 ha, the ramhorn sky-breaking hammer, nothing but a big name with no substance. Shangguan Zhengheng burst into laughter and then, without the slightest hesitation, turned and fled. He escaped towards the direction of the Shangguan family. He had no intention of fighting Li Qingshan to the death, after all, above him was a true god phase divine symbol cultivator obstructed by the elder's divine likeness wood carving. The divine likeness wood carving, even though it was the elder's own divine incarnation, couldn't obstruct him for long. Running away was the most correct decision. Even if the practice of the corpse curse technique was exposed, with the elder's maneuvers, at worst, he would relinquish the family head position and leave the Golden Light Prefecture. What could Li Qingshan do to him then? As a powerful figure of the Golden Light Prefecture city, he possessed the authority he needed. Even if Li Qingshan had evidence of his crimes, so what? If evidence alone could doom him, there wouldn't be so many wrongful cases in the world. Although he did not know how Li Qingshan came to find out that he practiced the corpse curse technique and called a divine minister to kill him, as long as he could escape, there was a chance. Li Qingshan naturally did not wish to let Shangguan Zhengheng escape. He was well aware that if Shangguan Zhengheng were to survive, given the relations between the 5 great clans and the city lord's mansion, it would be difficult to prosecute Shangguan Zhengheng. It would not be so easy to kill him next time. Stay here! Li Qingshan roared furiously, as countless thunderbolts intertwined around him. Fierce thunder glared, the ramhorn slay evil. Thump! Shangguan Zhengheng was once again sent flying by the strike, creating a splash and dragging white foam across the surface of the river. However, Shang Guan Zhengheng coughed up a little blood, his eyes gleaming with increasing excitement. Li Qingshan, you can't kill me now. You're not yet a divine minister, I've become a cursed copper corpse, and you can't beat me to death anymore. Ha 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 ha. Li Qingshan remained silent. His physical body trembled, the sinews and bones quivering, while 3 furious flood dragons roared forth. His martial expertise, the 8 flood dragons overturning the rivers. His true chi boiled and surged, rolling wave-like, almost like a curtain rising several meters high. Grasping the ramhorn sky-breaking hammer, he hammered down again. If one hammer blow doesn't break it, then 2, 3. Sooner or later, I'll smash you to pieces. Whoosh! The river was torn apart. The battle on the other side had erupted almost in a flash, bursting forth with earth-shaking momentum. But the crossbow arrow that Shang Guan Zhengheng initially threw, under almost everyone's neglect, accelerated horrifically, shooting towards the speedboat-like small boat. On the small boat, the girl wearing a squirrel mask frantically activated divine talismans, spurring on the boat's speed. However, as an illusory phase cultivator who had also become a disciple of the corpse god cult with a cursed copper corpse, Shang Guan Zhengheng possessed overpowering, unrivaled strength. The crossbow arrow he threw had a velocity that even rivaled that of her divine talisman crossbow shot. The sound of the waves was brilliantly clear, leaving a white trail on the river. A dark shadow, like a black lightning tearing through the river, its sound thunderous. Straight on, piercing through. I'm going to die. Shang Guan Qinghong, under the squirrel mask, turned deathly pale, a look of despair emerging in her eyes. Indeed. Is it still not enough? She made numerous plans to assassinate Shang Guan Zhengheng. Although Shang Guan Zhengheng was her biological father, she hated him deeply and wished to kill him with her own hands. Because Shang Guan Qinghong personally witnessed her mother being sacrificed by Shang Guan Zhengheng. That nightmare haunted her. She could never imagine that someone could be so evil, to watch her mother's flesh melt away slowly. Her heart bled, and at that moment, she swore to herself to kill Shang Guan Zhengheng. As for Shang Guan Zhengheng, he had no care for his daughter. After committing the atrocity in front of her, he left brazenly. Even telling her to grow up well, sparing her life was merely to prepare her as a sacrifice material for later. Fortunately, Shang Guan Qinghong was later noticed by Lin Qiu, who took her to the Qintian Observatory, where she escaped the clutches of this devil. But the desire to kill the devil, Shang Guan Qinghong, had never dissipated. Tonight, upon learning that Shang Guan Zhengheng would be spending the night on the Yunfang boat for the first time in months, she began to plan and act. The divine talisman crossbow she prepared was her trump card. It was the only means she had, with her level of cultivation, that could threaten Shang Guan Zhengheng. Her way of divine talismans was taught to her by Lin Qiu, a divine phase realm divine talisman master with exquisite mastery of divine talismans. Lin Qiu took Shang Guan Qinghong under her wing, not only because she pitied her but also because she recognized her talent for divine talismans. So, is it still not enough? Can evil people really continue to exist in this world without any restraints? Shang Guan Qinghong sat in the small boat, her entire body cold, under the assault of the divine crossbow bolt wrapped with Shang Guan Zhenggen's extremely terrifying god plunderer divinity. As the divine crossbow bolt approached, the crushing oppressive force of the illusory phase realm was so immense that she gradually lost even the strength to move. All she could do was wait for death with eyes wide open. Crunch crunch. As the crossbow arrow neared, the waves surged, and the squirrel mask she wore, unable to withstand the terrifying force, was covered in cracks, and then explosively shattered. Revealing Shang Guan Qinghong's delicate and stunningly beautiful but utterly pale face of despair. She failed to kill Shang Guan Zhengheng and was staking her own life instead. Shang Guan Qinghong was not willing to accept this. She wasn't resentful of her own death, but that she failed to kill Shang Guan Zhengheng, the beast. Chapter 234. However, just when she thought she could not evade the fate of being pierced by the divine crossbow, to her astonishment, she heard the sound of wind and thunder by her ear, followed by an endless chorus of ghostly wails, accompanied by the sound of a bowstring pulled taut to a full moon, creaking and groaning under the unbearable strain. Shang Guan Qinghong suddenly turned her head and saw in the distance upon the river's surface, a slender figure. Wearing a horse face mask, the figure was walking on the waves, bending the bow to release an arrow. Boom! The moment the arrow left the mystic thunder Jia Wrath bow, a large expanse of wind and thunder exploded. Shang Guanqinghong only felt wails and furious roars of a jiao serpent resounding near her ear along with the rumbling of wind, thunder, and lightning, incessant and omnipresent. Whoosh! 100 Ghosts Wrathful Thunder Arrow. The arrow shot forth like a streak of light bursting through, colliding with the divine crossbow arrow released by Shang Guanzhengheng. The divinity contained within the arrow and crossbow bolt clashed and burst forth upon impact. Boom! An invisible shockwave spread out in concentric circles, and the surging river water rose high on both sides, countless splashing droplets shattered into a mist. This single arrow had completely deviated the trajectory of the divine crossbow, rendering it utterly off target. It grazed past the smooth, delicate cheek of Shang Guanqinghong, whooshing into the distance. Silently sinking into the river, shooting straight toward the riverbed. Shang Guanqinghong gasped for air, her chest heaving violently, her eyes still held the terror of a brush with death. I didn't die. The crossbow arrow had been veered off course by another arrow. That arrow was life-saving. Shang Guanqinghong felt her whole body relax, collapsing onto the deck of the boat, panting uncontrollably. Meanwhile, the slender figure in the horse face mask had already stepped aboard the boat. Borrowing the boat for a moment, the figure in the horse face mask said indifferently. Senior. Thank you for saving my life. Shang Guanqinghong said with wide eyes and gratitude. However, the masked figure did not respond to her. Standing on the boat, the gaze beneath the horse face mask was extremely profound and sharp. The next moment, out came the Nemo immortal artisan Barrett. Compared to the last time when he assassinated Qin Yuqing, Barrett had been improved and enhanced considerably by him. The power, compared to before, was now considerably greater. But this time, the target was much stronger than Qin Yuqing. Assassinating him might be a bit difficult. But at this distance, it's worth a shot. The figure in the horse face mask murmured softly, then took out a dragon tooth Bodhi bullet that looked like a work of art. Shang Guanqinghong, standing behind, was dumbstruck, inhaling deeply. She seemed to know who this person was. The divine archer who, from dozens of miles away, had shot and killed Qin Yuqing. So, it wasn't the bull demon who killed Qin Yuqing after all. Case solved. Shang Guanqinghong felt as though she had stumbled upon a huge secret. The horse face. The killer of Qin Yuqing was none other than horse face. What is he going to do now? Shang Guanqinghong even felt like she was chasing a star. She stood up, not daring to breathe heavily. She watched as Horseface inserted the peculiar hidden weapon into the strange contraption. Like a bow yet not a bow, like a crossbow yet not a crossbow. If even the divine talisman crossbow couldn't kill Shang Guanzhengheng, what use could this contraption, which didn't seem very powerful, be? The news of Qin Yuqing being shot from dozens of miles away had stirred quite a buzz, but Shang Guanzhengheng was no ordinary person like Qin Yuqing. Senior, would you like to try adding the power of a divine talisman? Shang Guanqinghong ventured to ask. Underneath the horse face mask, the gaze finally shifted slightly towards Shang Guanqinghong. Divine talisman? Li Chei's mind stirred slightly. However, in the end, he chose to shake his head. Sniping was a very serious matter, requiring consideration of many factors. Arbitrarily adding a divine talisman, who knows what the outcome might become. If it weakened the damage, it would be counterproductive. Besides, the integration of a divine talisman with Barrett might require various experiments and tuning. It wasn't something that could be used on a whim. Li Chei declined Shang Guanqinghong's kind offer. Then, he focused his breath and spirit. No longer paying attention to Shang Guanqinghong, Li Chei, wearing the horse face mask, slowly exhaled a breath, aligning his essence, qi and spirit in an instant, twisting them into one. Towards Shang Guanzhengheng, the intensity of Li Chei's killing intent was unprecedented. This was a tremendous threat. This man, not only did he scream at his daughter XIXI, he also harbored inappropriate thoughts towards his wife. His death would be no loss. Today, with the masters Li Qingshan and Lin Qiu holding his attention, it was an excellent opportunity to kill Shang Guanzhengheng. Li Chei would certainly not let this chance slip away. Therefore, he would use his most powerful methods. The sniper, Horseface. Ready. Suddenly, raising the immortal artisan Barrett in his hands, Horseface half squatted at the bow, with the ripples of the river's waves causing the floating boat to bob up and down. With divinity emanating from Horseface, the swaying boat suddenly became as solid as if it had been poured with concrete. A dense killing intent seeped out from Horseface. Within the chest, the chess Saint Deo fruit vibrated and throbbed. Suddenly, the heaven and earth chessboard, with the immobile boat on the surface of the Nine Dragons River as the stellar position, expanded in a crisscross pattern. Within the chessboard, some presences were very distinct and intense. The divine minister's presence of Lin Qiu was brilliant, like rolling suns. Li Qingshan's presence was not weak either, emitting white light, and Shang Guanzhengen's presence was exceptionally dark, emitting an incredibly dense black aura. Clearly, Shang Guanzhengen's killing intent towards Li Che was very intense. How convenient, you think of killing me at the same time. Chapter 235. I also want to kill you. This is a mutual rush. Immortal work Barrett is engraved with numerous patterns, which are somewhat similar to the runes on divine talismans and can gather and accumulate divinity. Li Che's improvements on immortal work Barrett are the reason the power has escalated substantially. Heaven and earth suddenly fell silent. Only the sound of inhaling and exhaling, adjusting the breath, remained. In the distance, Li Qingshan and the transformed cursed copper corpse, Shang Guanzhengheng, were chasing and fighting each other. Shang Guanzhengheng, with his head covered, was running towards the riverbank, clearly aiming to rush back to Shangguan Mansion, seeking protection from the diviner ancestor. However, Li Qingshan planned to kill him during this return. Therefore, Li Qingshan held nothing back. However, the cursed copper corpse was even more challenging and unyielding than the cursed iron corpse, withstanding numerous blows from Li Qingshan as if nothing had happened. Regardless, Li Qingshan did not give up easily, swinging the ramhorn hammer again, attracting and manipulating expansive thunderbolts, spread out like a spider web. Swinging down fiercely, like a raging dragon roaring, it struck hard against the body of Shang Guanzhengheng, now a cursed copper corpse. Shang Guanzhenghen's body almost showed a bizarre twist, yet due to its incredible hardness and toughness, he didn't die from it. He shot out like a cannonball, crashing into the river and creating continuous explosive water plumes. When the last water plume burst, Shang Guanzhengheng flipped up, coughed out a mouthful of blood, his copper-colored body shimmering with intense death chi flowing around. He prepared to flee again. Just as he stood up, regaining his stance. 500 yards away, Horseface's eyes suddenly narrowed. Now was the moment. Within the heaven and earth chessboard, a dark temple god divinity chess piece suddenly appeared before Horseface, and with a bang, it exploded, turning into dense black chi, merging into the bullet dragon tooth Bodhi, which then emitted black smoke. The momentum climbed steadily. Divine sense locked onto Shang Guanzhenghen's presence on the chessboard. This bullet, with all four wheels of godly foundation bursting forth. I'll send you to see King Yama. Li Che inhaled and exhaled, and in an instant, heaven and earth fell silent. Burst. He suddenly pressed the mechanical trigger. Instantly, the mud pill's inner scene behind the mask of Horseface four wheels of godly foundation almost simultaneously appeared. Divinity, overwhelming everything. Three-eyed angry true monarch, angry cry town ghost, Suansi Lu sword, heart shocking and sturdy. Anger, sadness, thought, shock. Four wheels of godly foundation, like millstones, bloomed like mandalas from hell behind Horseface, with a surging wave of divinity nearly simultaneously pouring into immortal work Barrett. A with circumflex. It was as if a charging sound, beep kept accumulating. Shang Guanqinghong's legs collapsed, and he directly slumped on the small boat, eyes wide as if they had lost their divine light, staring blankly at the four wheels emerging behind. A man. How could a man possess four wheels of godly foundation? Is this a human? Is this a human? Boom. The terrifying blast sounded almost simultaneously, as the crimson Barrett intertwined with 5 colors, incorporating the hues of the 4 great godly foundations and a black divinity from the temple god within the dragon tooth Bodhi. Like a peacock facing the sunrise, it spread its tail. An immensely powerful shock wave burst forth from the barrel in an instant, following the anger of the dragon tooth Bodhi, enveloping and sweeping everything. The whole vessel surged violently, nearly exploding from the dreadful recoil shockwave, as countless cracks appeared on its surface. The vessel seemed to enter speedboat mode, shooting backward hundreds of meters. Surrounding it, curtains of water blasted up in layers, then swiftly plummeted. A dazzling flash of golden light appeared abruptly, dimming and then the searing red dragon tooth Bodhi shot out. Enveloped in a 5-colored divine light. Tearing through the sonic barrier, it broke through the sky. Shang Guanzhengheng burst into uproarious laughter, his body radiating a coppery glow as he completely shrugged off the thunderous force with his flesh. Once again, he blocked Li Qingshan's hammer, feeling unbelievably refreshed. Although he couldn't defeat Li Qingshan, Li Qingshan also couldn't breach his defense or kill him. As long as he didn't overextend himself and chose to flee back to the Shangguan mansion, under the protection of the ancestor, he wouldn't die. Suddenly, a ground-shattering explosion burst forth from the distant vessel. He vaguely saw the four wheels of godly foundation rising. Saw the spurting, gorgeous golden light. Then, goosebumps erupted. His eyes nearly bursting. A blanket of deathly crisis enveloped him. His entire body, powered to the extreme by the cursed copper corpse, burst forth with the splendor of ancient copper-colored light, thick with an aura of death. With a fierce step, he transformed into a golden bell. But just as the copper light began to flow, a sharp pain suddenly pierced his chest. That five-colored divine light seen in the distance. In less than a breath's time, it penetrated his cursed copper corpse chest, tearing through the mighty defense with a terrifying penetrative force. A wail of agony. Flesh exploded into clouds and clouds of blood mist. Beads of blood, like tears of the Bodhi, patteringly scattered all over the ground. It was not until this moment that Shangguan Zhengheng heard the air tearing like a thunderstorm. Wearing a cat-faced mask, Li Qingshan blinked and appeared beside Shangguan Zhengheng, whose cursed copper corpse body had been breached, bursting with clouds of blood mist. Towards his defenseless head, it was one hammer blow. Crack! Skull exploded, flesh and blood flew, brain matter splattered. Only then did Li Qingshan, utterly horrified, realize his hammer-holding hand was trembling slightly. Fuck! Is this the friend of the bull demon? Horse face! What a quick shot! Chapter 236. The sound blast, like thunder, only rolled in after the dragon-tooth Bodhi bullet had pierced through Shangguan Zhengheng. A terrifying and oppressive sensation had already pervaded the surroundings. Four streams of divine majesty intertwined, mixing with the temple god divinity, forming a five-colored divine radiance. Even Li Qingshan couldn't help but have his hair stand on end. Too fast. It gave an extremely intense sense of crisis. With such speed, sound couldn't catch up. Once it locked on its target, the danger was absolute. Boom! The dragon-tooth Bodhi bullet that had burst and penetrated into Shangguan Zhenggen's body exploded, turning into thousands of Bodhi silks. The Bodhi silks excavated chunks of flesh, curling them into flesh beads. They clattered as they fell from Shangguan Zhenggen's body. Bodhi blood tears, falling like rain. Even though Shangguan Zhenggen's head had been blown open by Li Qingshan wielding the ramhorn hammer, that hidden weapon, with its immense penetration power, still carved out all his flesh. So vicious, so poisonous. Li Qingshan took a deep breath. What a move for long-range assassination! With the explosive power of this hidden weapon, even an ordinary 8 extremes divine archer would be no more than this, right? It could even rival those 7 elements divine archer colonels from the prefecture city divine guard army with their intense deterrence. Horseface! The friend of the bull demon. Li Qingshan, clutching the still bloodied ramhorn hammer, raised his eyes to the distant, standing figure on the boat. That figure was shouldering a strangely shaped mechanism, neither bow nor crossbow, and it was precisely such a device that, from hundreds of yards away, like rolling thunder, shot and killed Shangguan Zhengheng who had cultivated the cursed copper corpse. Although Shangguan Zhenggen's cursed copper corpse was just barely initiated, its hardness couldn't compare to that of a cursed copper corpse that had been cultivated over many years. Yet, once one entered the ranks of the cursed copper corpses, whether in defense, strength, or resilience, all would greatly increase. Li Qingshan hammered away at Shangguan Zhengheng and, after so many strikes, was unable to kill him or break through the cursed copper corpse's defense. Yet that horse face from a distance had shot through Shangguan Zhenggen's cursed copper corpse. Although it didn't achieve a one-shot kill, once its defense was breached, the defense of the cursed copper corpse was greatly weakened, and with one hammer blow, Li Qingshan could kill. That was sufficient. This hidden weapon that burst forth seems to have merged the power of 4 divine foundations, mixed with some temple god divinity. Horseface actually cultivated 4 types of divinity, all of them combined into divine foundations. This was what most shocked Li Qingshan. Harboring 2 types of divinity, the repulsion between them was extremely terrifying, and it would suppress the other divinity into the inner scenery. If one were to take 2 types of divinity into the inner scenery, it would only make the divinity within the inner scenery confused and the nurturing nature extremely difficult. Even a single divinity forming the divine foundation was already extremely difficult, let alone two wheels of godly foundation. How was this achieved? It was utterly inconceivable. Above the firmament, the divine minister's pressure suddenly weakened as well. With Shangguan Zhenggen's death, the target protected by the power of the divine likeness of the Shangguan family's patriarch was lost, so it retreated automatically and returned to Patriarch Shangguan. Lin Qiu, wearing a peacock mask, gracefully descended. What barred him was, after all, only the divine likeness wood carving of Patriarch Shangguan, and he felt no pressure at all. In fact, he even had the capacity to observe the situation around him. In truth, he was aware of the situation on Shangguan Qinghong's side and had planned to intervene and rescue. But when Horseface took action, Lin Qiu did not intervene. And Horseface's subsequent sequence of moves, even for him, a divine symbol cultivator, was astonishing and shocking. This must be mechanical techniques, indeed an extremely terrible penetration power, and the killing is very strong and malicious. Once the body is shot through and the mechanism explodes, it will carve out all the flesh. It resembles the Bodhi blood tears from the Tang family mechanism technique, but it is clearly improved. Lin Qiu squinted, arriving beside Li Qingshan. His gaze fell upon the grisly corpse of Shangguan Zhengheng, and his eyes suddenly hardened. Lin Qiu pushed up the peacock mask that was about to slide down and nodded, "This Horseface is extraordinary, practicing 4 types of divine foundations. Perhaps they have a unique talent within their inner scenery, capable of carrying multiple types of divinity. The 7 Treasures divine sect of the Dragon Abyss Path has a method for cultivating multiple types of divinity together. But it's extremely difficult, time-consuming, and energy-intensive. Within the authentic divine sect of the 7 Treasures, few disciples practice it. Although the combination of multiple divinities can form an extremely terrifying burst, the problem is, it's too hard to cultivate, and even harder to reach a high realm. The further one goes, the difficulty only increases. For the 4 wheels of godly foundation, to break through to the divine minister, one must first condense the 4 honored virtual likenesses, and then simultaneously surpass the barrier between void aspect and divine minister to observe and solidify 4 divinities. If one fails, it will lead to the balance within the inner scenery being broken, followed by divinity repulsion. If it's mild, cultivation might regress slightly, but if it's severe, the inner scenery will collapse, and the divine sense will cease to exist. And without becoming a divine minister, even if one cultivates many divine foundations, the increase in combat power is there, but facing the pressure of a high rank, it will still be suppressed. Cultivating multiple types of divinity is a thankless task. After all, Lin Qiu was Shangguan Qinghong's teacher and equally learned and talented. The 7 Treasures divine sect of the Dragon Abyss Path. Li Qingshan was of course familiar with the name of the 7 Treasures divine sect. Moreover, amongst the 11 divine sects of Great Vista, its ranking was even higher than the Qian Yuan divine sect. It was rumored that the sect master of the 7 Treasures divine sect possessed 100 treasures cosmic bag, containing over 1,000 divine weapons of quality not at all low, with just the 4 royal divine weapons amounting to more than both hands could hold. Indeed, a true paramount expert of Great Vista. Of course, every sect master of a divine sect was a person at the absolute pinnacle of divine cultivation in Great Vista. This friend of the bull demon, Horseface, could it be he comes from the 7 Treasures divine sect of the Dragon Abyss Path? Chapter 237. Lin Qiu narrowed her eyes. Li Qingshan shook his head, "I don't know. Originally, I thought Horseface was just an excuse made up by the bull demon, that the bull demon was Horseface himself. Now it seems, the bull demon is the bull demon, and Horseface is Horseface. The bull demon really does have a friend. Horseface." On the boat, the 4 wheels of godly foundation slowly retracted their inner scenery, the terrifying majesty gradually dissipated without a trace. Shangguan Qinghong slumped on the boat, her slender legs trembling uncontrollably. It was too terrifying. The divine majesty released by the 4 wheels of godly foundation was not the slightest bit weaker than the pressure exerted by an illusory phase cultivator. For Shangguan Qinghong, the oppressive feeling was too overpowering, even breathing had become a luxury. At this moment, she was gasping for air, sweating profusely. But in her eyes, there was no fear, only a trace of astonishment. Because she had seen the fireworks shot out by Horseface, which directly pierced through Shangguan Zhengheng, who had cultivated the cursed copper corpse body, was unrivaled in his flesh, and impervious to water and fire. This shot was too crucial, it directly cut off any hope of escape for Shangguan Zhengheng. After breaking through Shangguan Zhenggen's defenses, he was then smashed to death by Li Qingshan's hammer. One could say, without Horseface's sniping, once Shangguan Zhengheng reached the shore and caused a commotion, he essentially would have escaped with his life. Shangguan Qinghong had not expected so many masters to come to kill Shangguan Zhengheng tonight. All she could say was, Shangguan Zhengheng finally reaped what he sowed. Scalding hot tears suddenly overflowed from Shangguan Qinghong's eyes, blurring her vision. Mother, your vengeance is finally avenged. Shangguan Qinghong lay directly in the boat, allowing it to bob and drift as she sobbed loudly. After crying for a while, Shangguan Qinghong suddenly remembered something. She abruptly sat up, wiping away her tears with both hands, trying to find that Horseface who had shot through Shangguan Zhengheng from hundreds of yards away. N.S. But there was no sight of Horseface anymore. Shangguan Qinghong instantly felt dispirited. Senior Horseface! I'll remember you. Soon, Shangguan Qinghong lifted her beautiful face, clenched her fist, her gaze resolute. Boom! A sonic boom burst forth. Li Che shifted his position using the thunder chess piece and immediately switched to the bull demon attire, shooting out from the darkness. His speed was incredibly fast, bouncing several times and landing on the river surface, reaching the side of Li Qingshan and Lin Qiu. The whole process took no more than a breath of time. Neither Li Qingshan nor Lin Qiu detected any abnormality. Search the corpse, let's go. The divine power of the ancestor of the Shangguan family has returned, he must have sensed it by now. We need to speed up and remove both Shangguan Lilong and Shangguan Yunlong. Tonight, we must make those who have joined the corpse god cult bleed. Make them wary, fearful. Li Qingshan's eyes revealed a fierce light. Li Che, wearing the bull demon mask, did not say much, just silently crouched down and started to expertly search Shangguan Zhenggen's body. He also thoroughly absorbed all his divinity. The Dao fruit vibrated slightly, and in an instant, all the death chi above Shangguan Zhenggen's cursed copper corpse body was extracted and turned into chess pieces on the chessboard, each emitting grey streams of air. The spoils of war could be divided, but these divine chess pieces belonging to Shangguan Zhengheng, probably couldn't be divided, could they? What surprised Li Che was that the divinity cultivated by Shangguan Zhengheng was the divinity of fear, which was exactly what he lacked. He still needed the divine foundations of fear and sorrow. Now that he had obtained one, it was rather nice. Indeed, Mansion City had more resources than Feilei City. Li Che's speed of absorbing divinity was very fast, with just a brush of his hand, the 1,000 analyzing hands completed the absorption. Even Lin Qiu, a divine symbol cultivator, did not notice it. Divine sense of a cultivator was powerful indeed, but there were differences. After all, there were various levels within the divine phase realm. Done searching. After taking care of the other two, we will divide the loot together. This time, we owe a lot to your friend, Horseface. Li Qingshan said with a smile. With his robust stature, the bull demon nodded silently and collected Shangguan Zhenggen's Qunkan jade. Then, the three of them turned into black lines, shooting out swiftly into the night. In the Yunfang boat, the commotion of Shangguan Zhenggen's death naturally couldn't be concealed. Thus, many in the Yunfang boat had realized it. Lu He from the Qintian Observatory was drinking with some friends. Hearing the commotion, he approached the window and stood at the Yunfang boat's window, watching the incredibly splendid fight with his mouth agape. Lu He trembled slightly, pushing the radiant beauty in white beside him away. Mansion City, the times are about to change. Mansion City had a curfew. At night, the city gates would close, no longer allowing anyone in or out. But there are always exceptions. With a thunderous noise, the gates of Mansion City slowly closed. And where there is closure, there is also opening. The gates of Mansion City would open for convenience. 2 carriages returned from outside the city at the same time, the wheels turning slowly as they drove on the wide road of Mansion City, big enough to accommodate 10 carriages abreast. Each carriage held a figure. The soldiers guarding the city did not stop them, even facilitated their entry because these 2 carriages belonged to the Shangguan family. Being one of the 5 great clans of Mansion City, the Shangguan family had countless ties with Mansion City. Naturally, they would be accommodated. Shangguan Lilong and Shangguan Yunlong rested their eyes within the carriage. As the carriage swayed, both of them almost synchronously ceased their actions. They finished the refining action of the Death Chi condensing martial elixir. A look of confusion appeared in their eyes. Chapter 238. The next moment, the haze of confusion instantly transformed into gravity and horror. Boom! Boom! The cabins of the two luxurious carriages exploded almost simultaneously, countless dust and ashes swirling wildly like dragons. The dispersing air currents surged violently around. The two charioteers driving the carriages were so frightened that they rolled off. But from within the carriages, the two noblemen released the powerful aura of the void aspect, roaring as they soared into the sky. Their bodies burst forth the color of cursed copper, a transition from cursed iron corpse. The two, with their fine clothes fluttering and eyes filled with terror. Frozen blood, trembling hearts filled with terror. They knew beyond doubt that a divine facade expert was striking against them. Boom! Indeed, as they looked up, they saw the dark clouds scatter and moonlight spill down gently. They then saw a figure in white clothing, wearing a half-peacock mask, standing in the sky with his hands behind his back, looking down on them, and behind him stood a divine likeness, strikingly lifelike as if crafted by heavenly craftsmen. You two, surely don't have old ghost Shangwen's divine likeness wood carving, do you? Lin Qiu said indifferently. His words lingered between the heavens. The next moment, he stomped down heavily. It was like a river of stars falling, and numerous stars howling as they cleansed the human world. The immense pressure swept out, making Shang Guanlilong and Shang Guanyunlong feel suffocated as their soaring figures abruptly crashed to the ground. The two coughed up blood, their eyes filled with rage. Lin Qiu! Have you gone mad? Shang Guanlilong roared, unable to expand his void aspect, completely suppressed by Lin Qiu's true divine aspect power, barely able to breathe. The void aspect and divine aspect, the gap between the real and the unreal was ultimately clear. Lin Qiu, however, couldn't be bothered to speak more, swept his palm through the air, countless divinities converged into a massive hand, and brutally smashed down. Without the help of old ghost Shangwen's divine likeness wood carving, the two were no match for Lin Qiu. The void aspect, though it could hold on for a few moves against the divine aspect, was merely that. Much easier compared to killing Shangguan Zhengheng. Suddenly, a ramhorn hammer burst from the darkness. Countless thunderbolts interwove, spreading like a thunderous net moving from the center of the ramhorn hammer, ruthlessly crushing Shang Guanlilong and Shang Guanyunlong into bleeding wrecks. Nuo Beta. Meanwhile, in the distant sky, from the direction of the Shangguan family, an immensely furious roar exploded, a terrifying divine apparition emitting a dark blue radiance, sketching the vague figure of an ancient deity. The deity opened its mouth and roared fiercely. Lin Qiu. It was the patriarch of the Shangguan family, sensing the shattering of the divine likeness wood carving given to Shangguan Zhengheng and the rebound of the divine aspect's power. The patriarch, who had been in seclusion, had no choice but to emerge. However, it was too late. Lin Qiu struck again, his figure instantly disappearing and reappearing next to Shang Guanlilong. Li Qingshan swung his hammer toward Yunlong while Lin Qiu set upon killing Lilong. The two's cursed iron corpse cultivation was ultimately no match for Shang Guanzhengen's cursed copper corpse, being slain on the spot. Li Qingshan skillfully stripped the Qunkan jade and divine weapon from their bodies and made his escape. The coordination between Lin Qiu and Li Qingshan was clearly a testament to their days in the martial world, such behavior not uncommon for them. Li Che, wearing a bull demon mask, hid in the darkness, not making a move. He provided the information, confirming that Shang Guanlilong and Yunlong were marked with the corpse curse mark from the corpse god cult, which was sufficient for sharing the spoils. Li Qingshan and Lin Qiu didn't intend for him to participate. Of course, if the bull demon had made a move, it would cost extra. As for the divinity of Shang Guanlilong and Yunlong, it wasn't too much of a loss, both were cultivating the divinity of fear, having one person like Shang Guanzhengheng was enough. After Lin Qiu and Li Qingshan left after their killings, the bull demon also gradually faded into the darkness, vanishing without a trace. From beginning to end, he only appeared briefly when they stripped Shang Guanzhengen's body. After Lin Qiu and Li Qingshan left, a terrifying aura, almost causing the tiles on the surrounding roofs to hop, suddenly descended. With his hair as white as flowing water weed, constantly fluttering. It was Patriarch Shang Guanji. What a Lin Qiu, what a Li Qingshan. Kintian Observatory. Golden Light Sect. Shang Guanji's eyes blazed like two suns, their glow incredibly splendid. The boiling divinity released a heat that almost made the surrounding air scalding hot. Old Shang Guan, just look at what your Shangguan family's descendants are cultivating. Shangguan Zhengheng has successfully cultivated the cursed copper corpse, causing countless deaths. Shangguan Lilong and Shangguan Yunlong, also transitioning from cursed iron corpse to cursed copper corpse. What are the intentions of your Shangguan family's ties with the corpse god cult? What are the intentions? What intentions? Though Lin Qiu's figure had vanished, his overwhelming divinity formed echoes and vibrations in the air. Shangguan Ji's entire body's bones crackled, his tremendous vitality burning the void, his eyes filled with overwhelming murderous intent. That doesn't justify you, Lin Qiu and Li Qingshan, taking the law into your own hands to kill. Lin Qiu, you're a deputy inspector of the Qintian Observatory, yet you exercise the killing acts of the Temple Control Bureau. Do you still see the Divine Guard Army, the City Lord's mansion, or the Master of the Mansion? However, the surroundings were already devoid of any response. Lin Qiu couldn't be bothered to argue with the old fool, having killed and already escaped. Ah! Patriarch Shangguan Ji of the Shangguan family remained furious. He laughed aloud to the sky as the ground around him burst into white dust, the dust swirling like dragons. His figure soared into the sky, wrapped in the dust as he rushed towards the direction of the Qintian Observatory. Cliffstone Treasure Building. The tower of the Qintian Observatory stood there. At this moment, rocks flew through the sky, waves crashed against the shore. The river within Nine Dragons River City suddenly boiled, as if driven by raging emotions, bellowing and forming waves that fiercely crashed onto the shore. Chapter 239. Shangguan Ji approached with a murderous aura rolling in, stirring up the waves of the river. At the same time, in the void, it was as if four figures awoke, opening their eyes. These were the ancestors of the other four of the five great clans, opening their eyes to make their stance known. At that moment, five divine minister auras descended like pillars of light from the heavens, hovering in front of the Qintian Observatory treasure building. The building seemed to quiver as if on the verge of collapse, as if it would be destroyed at any moment. The five ancestors of the noble families, all renowned divine ministers for many years, the weakest among them in the middle god phase realm, held astonishing prestige. Just like Patriarch Shangguan, with a single divine likeness wood carving, he was able to thwart Lin Qiu because in terms of realm, Shangguan Ji was superior to Lin Qiu of the initial realm of divine minister. Hehe. The five great clans share the same roots, are they all pressuring the Qintian Observatory simultaneously? The Shangguan family has colluded with the corpse god cult, Shangguan Zhengheng has been refining the cursed copper corpse, and Shangguan Yunlong along with Shangguan Lilong have been refining the cursed iron corpse, all of which offend the heavens and deserve more than death. Even if you take this matter to the divine capital, to argue in front of His Majesty the God Emperor, I, Lin Qiu, Deputy Inspector of the Golden Light Prefecture of the Qintian Observatory, am still ridding the people of a scourge and sharing the country's worries. Not only am I not guilty, but I might even receive a reward from the imperial court, don't you think? A faint voice echoed out from the Qintian Observatory treasure building. The agitated waves calmed down, and everything returned to a tranquil state. The pair after pair of eyes that were secretly watching fell silent for a moment and then all retreated. Indeed, it was a dilemma, the deeds of the corpse god cult were indeed loathed by the imperial court. The corpse god cult had even incited rebellion in Jizhu, naturally putting the imperial court on Lin Qiu's side. At the top of the Qintian Observatory treasure building, an old man wearing a washed-out white-blue shirt was sitting quietly on a small bamboo stool, holding an erhu and lightly plucking its strings a couple of times, plunging the world into a sudden stillness. Lord of the Supervision. Shangguan Ji lowered his voice, his anger building up in his chest but dare not show it. However, the old man once again plucked the strings of the erhu, and in a flash, all divinity in heaven and earth was drained away. You collude with the corpse god cult and deserve more than death, do you still have the face to cry and mourn in front of me? Now get lost! Get lost! The voice boomed like thunder, bursting out of nowhere. Shangguan Ji's face turned slightly pale. And the ancestors of the other four great families, each with a long sigh, dissipated and retreated. For a moment, Shangguan Ji stood isolated without support, his fists clenched. Feeling the divinity between heaven and earth drained away in an instant, he felt a suffocating sensation surge into his heart. After a while, he opened his hands and turned into a stream of light, disappearing into the night. A storm had passed with no trace left. Atop the tower, the sound of the erhu lingered on. The old man shook his head and neck, in his throat, there was the sound of a dramatic, sing-song voice. After a moment, he burst into laughter. This Lin Qiu and Li Qingshan. After so many years, as grown men, they still need me, an old man halfway into the grave, to wipe their backsides. After laughing for a while, the strings of the erhu abruptly came to a halt. The old man suddenly turned his head. He looked in the direction of the divine sect. There, above the high heavens, a rift was torn open, spilling down a column of golden light atop the peak of Golden Light Peak. A translucent ripple of concentric circles spread from the peak for dozens of feet. Has the temple god atop Golden Light Peak awakened? Is this the passing down of a divine method by the temple god? The 3-year-old girl that Nan Luo has just taken in, can she actually activate the godly K of the Heavenly King Tower? Within the dark courtyard, 3 figures appeared silently and simultaneously. Lin Qiu, Li Qingshan, and the bull demon wrapped in a black cloak and bamboo hat. A low chuckle suddenly emanated from Li Qingshan's mouth. Awesome! Shang Guan Zhengheng deserved death for colluding with the corpse god cult. His death is nothing to mourn, Li Qingshan said, swinging the ramhorn hammer in his hand. Okay, I should go back and get scolded now. I've been up to mischief with you again, and I'm afraid the teacher is going to kill me, Lin Qiu said expressionlessly. What's there to be afraid of? You've been scolded before, haven't you? Remember all the things we did back then? Didn't the Lord of the Supervision take the heat for us all? Plus, what we did today is not at all evil, but a great deed. Even the governor of the temple administration would smile and pour us tea for slaughtering those cursed copper and iron corpses from the corpse god cult. Get lost, I don't drink tea from the temple office. After tonight, those who colluded with the corpse god cult will probably behave themselves for a while, but it will also be harder for us to find opportunities for our next move. Lin Qiu sighed. It's been a long time since I've had such a thrill. Tonight was indeed worth it. A few words of scolding from the supervisor isn't a problem. The Qingxiu duo, back in the martial world. It seems we have to add a bull demon now. Qingxiu bull demon combination? Time to divide the spoils, said Lin Qiu. After dividing the spoils, it would be time to go back. Li Qingshan took Shangguan Yunlong's Qunkan Jade and tossed the Qunkan Jade of Shangguan Lilong to Lin Qiu. Let's divide it this way. Shangguan Zhenggen's Qunkan Jade goes to the bull demon, and you can also share some with Horseface. Lilong and Yunlong's Qunkan Jade, we too shall keep, Li Qingshan said. Li Che, upon hearing this, didn't say anything. Shangguan Zhenggen's wealth was undoubtedly the richest. Moreover, most cultivators have the habit of storing their fortunes inside their own Qunkan Jade, as carrying it with them ensures it doesn't get lost, unless they meet an untimely death. All right. Li Che nodded and took Shangguan Zhenggen's jade pendant. Suddenly, a violent tremor surged through Li Che's heart. Within his chest, the chess saint's Dao fruit throbbed intensely, the most forceful he had ever felt. Almost as if it would burst from his chest. Xi. Li Che's expression beneath the bull demon mask changed slightly. The overwhelming excitement from the Dao fruit, a response to the thunder chess pieces embedded on Xi. With the throbbing Dao fruit, the heaven and earth chessboard sprawled out mightily. Li Che instantly sensed the dazzling golden light pillar atop the golden light peak of the divine sect. Vaguely, a shadow of a treasure pagoda seemed to emerge on top of the chessboard. Almost as if it would press down and make an indent in the chessboard. This was the first time he had encountered such a situation. Li Che's eyes narrowed sharply. Fortunately, what consoled Li Che was that the feedback from the chess pieces did not indicate danger for Xi. Rather, it was a response filled with immense anticipation and desire from the chess saint's Dao fruit. It even felt like there was a great opportunity. Feeling the message from the thunder chess pieces, the opportunity seemed enormous, and Xi appeared unable to grasp it all. As her father, then, helping his daughter by taking just a little bit should be fine, right? P.S. Please vote for monthly tickets and recommend votes. Chapter 240. The chess saint's Dao fruit, shaking violently, responded with unprecedented intensity, as if it had come across something extremely delicious and desirable. It was like that time when Li Che first encountered the bald-pated spirit infant temple god in the mysterious temple outside Feilei City. Back then, the chess saint's Dao fruit was excited, but not nearly as fervent as it was now. This caused Li Che's emotions to stir uncontrollably. Xi was about to encounter a great opportunity. The chess piece gathered by the chess saint's Dao fruit, with Xi as the link, sensed the flavor of opportunity, hence passing feedback to Li Che. It was Xi's chance, and as a father, Li Che naturally could not take it for himself. After all, Li Che was not lacking in opportunities, Xi's birth was the greatest opportunity of all. For every year, one dao fruit, Xi growing safely for a year would allow him to gather one dao fruit. Under such a grand opportunity, how could he abandon his dignity and snatch the chance that belonged to his daughter? However, if his daughter couldn't handle this opportunity, to prevent the opportunity from being wasted and ending up benefiting someone else, then Li Che would naturally have to reluctantly consume the opportunity himself. The fat shall not fill the fields of outsiders. Nevertheless, Li Che also noticed something else. Temple God. Under the bull demon mask, Li Che's eyes narrowed. Xi was on Golden Light Peak, the main peak of the divine sect branch. How could there be a temple god? Temple gods were only present in mysterious temples. Could it be that there's a mysterious temple on Golden Light Peak? Doesn't that mean Xi is currently in the mysterious temple and in great danger? Li Che took a deep breath, but the thunder chess piece did not indicate any danger to Xi. Li Che still had great faith in the chess saint's dao fruit's accuracy in assessing danger. With the loot divided, the three had nothing more to discuss and prepared to go their separate ways. Bull demon, call up horse face next time, Lin Qiu said with a smile, looking at the towering bull demon. Upon hearing this, Li Che pondered for a moment, his voice hoarse from beneath the mask, okay. Lin Qiu pushed up the peacock mask on his nose and stretched lazily. Suddenly, as if sensing something, he leaped onto the roof tiled in black, scanning the distance. Towards the direction of the Divine Sect Mountain Gate, Golden Light Peak. A beam of straight golden light pierced into the clouds, strikingly visible against the night. Li Qingshan and the bull demon also leaped onto the rooftop, looking out. This is the divine flame of the temple god from the Heavenly King Tower being activated, Li Qingshan couldn't help exclaiming, a hint of amazement flickering in his eyes. He glanced at Li Che. There is a mysterious temple on the main peak of Golden Light Peak, which is a relic left by an ancestor of the Qianyuan divine sect on Golden Light Peak, after being plundered, leaving only the dormant temple god in situ. That temple god is peculiar, not of human form, but is a divine weapon with its own spirit. The divine weapon is called the Seven Treasures Relic Ruyi Golden Pagoda, usually referred to as the Heavenly King Tower, Li Qingshan explained. In fact, he was informing Li Che, so that Li Che wouldn't worry too much about Xi's safety. Inside the Heavenly King Tower are many treasures, including divine weapons, divine foundation techniques, methods of the godly statue, and even divine foundation secret techniques, divine aspect secret techniques, and so on. Every sect master true successor has the chance to receive the teachings of the temple god, which is an opportunity to face the test of the Heavenly King Tower. The Heavenly King Tower will provide various levels of support based on one's divinity talent. There's a wealth of rewards like the sect master's youngest disciple, not the youngest anymore, that's Sang Guanyin. The method of the godly statue she practices was granted by the Heavenly King Tower, the compassionate six-armed Guanyin divine aspect, a low-grade method of the godly statue within the six bureaus. Extremely precious. According to the sect master, she almost managed to awaken the godly K. Lin Qiu commented, looking up at the rippling waves of air from the Golden Light Peak. At that moment, the entire Golden Light Prefecture city was shaken. The Temple Control Bureau, Kintian Observatory, City Lord's Mansion, and the noble families and 5 major sects all had divine facade experts releasing their powerful divine sense to observe the golden light descending from the sky. Tisk tisk, it is said that the Heavenly King Tower is a fragmented temple god, split into 3, with 1/3 remaining on Golden Light Peak, although it also reaches the 6 bureaus level, Lin Qiu commented with a click of his tongue. The other 2 Heavenly King Towers, one is within the Ganyuan Orthodox sect in Dao city of Lingnan Circuit, and another, it seems, is in the divine capital. Lin Qiu knew more naturally, as he often stayed in the Kintian Observatory, with access to its vast collection of texts and his knowledge of astronomy and geography, he also studied the mysterious temples extensively. It is rumored that when the imperial court was first established, a divine fetus realm great general personally came to Golden Light Prefecture intending to reclaim this Heavenly King Tower, but failed to do so. The sect master of the authentic divine sect also tried to reclaim it, but also failed. Because this Heavenly King Tower resides here, it seems, to be related to the third Prince Temple at the heart of Nine Dragons River in the divine capital. Capital Supervision Minister once said, if the 3 Heavenly King Towers were to be united, the complete state of the Golden Heavenly King Tower might even step into the ranks of 3 clears level divine weapons. Li Che was inwardly shaken upon hearing this. No wonder the Chess Saint's Dao fruit was so stirred, even with just 1/3 of the Heavenly King Tower, it was indeed an extraordinary opportunity for the current Li Che. That's settled, I bid you farewell, Li Che said with a fist salute.